Chapter 91. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. By the time the Black Tower finished opening the game, Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo had already run to the edge of the Xinjiku business district. The players' screams could be heard from all over Nanjing. This large-scale reality instance came too abruptly and everyone was unprepared. Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo turned to look at the same place. Once they returned to below the Black Tower, Xiao Jitong immediately came up to them. The game is beginning. Tang Mo looked at him. How are you? There was a thin layer of sweat on Xiao Jitong's forehead. It showed that he wasn't indifferent to this sudden garbage cleaning game. He calmly said, "We were standing under the Black Tower when it said that the game had begun." This voice was obviously announced to China. This game is called the last person's garbage cleaning game. The Black Tower's meaning was obvious. This game had 2 points. One was the last person and the other was garbage cleaning. Xiao Jitong paused and looked at Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo, before saying with a smile, "Our players in Nanjing are last and they are also garbage." Xiao Jitong didn't let go of any information given by the Black Tower. In fact, Tang Mo was like him when playing the Black Tower game. No matter the game name or rules, he wouldn't ignore any remarks given by the Black Tower. It was because the key to clearing the game was probably inside the words. Tang Mo guessed why this game existed. If my speculation isn't wrong, 10 days ago was the 100th day since the Earth went online. This was a special day. Tang Mo paused and saw no reaction from Xiao Jitong. Like Fu Wen duo, Xiao Jitong already took note of the special date of February 23. Tang Mo continued, "From that day onwards, 3 small light spots appeared on Nanjing's Black Tower. The 3 lights were warming up for this game." Fu Wenqing had just ran over and when he heard this, he wondered, "You mean, the Black Tower spent 10 days preparing for this cleaning game?" "Yes." Tang Mo nodded. The Black Tower first announced China District 10 and then released 10 areas. There are 1,021 Black Towers over China and it chose 10 districts from over 1,000 districts. It said that on March 5, it identified the 10 districts. Then what is the criteria for determining these 10 districts? Fu Wen duo answered, "The people at the bottom." Tang Mo glanced at him. These 10 districts are last among the 1,021 districts. Most likely, they are the last 10 districts. I don't know what criteria the Black Tower used to judge the strength of each district, but it judged that these 10 districts are at the bottom. The game had started and the Black Tower's judging criteria was no longer important. The important thing was the garbage cleaning game. Tang Mo put it aside and looked at Xiao Jitong. It said that Nanjing has 11 garbage disposal stations. Have you found them? Xiao Jitong replied, "I just had Chai Rong send people to find them." Soon, Chai Rong and the Nanjing group members ran over gasping. "We found one. It is very close to here." The group followed up immediately. They crossed 2 blocks and several skyscrapers. Everyone walked quickly, not wasting a minute. Chai Rong didn't have time to say how he found the garbage disposal station or what it looked like. A small and strange building appeared in front of everyone. Tang Mo's face showed a trace of astonishment when he saw this small and strange room. In the center of a spacious intersection, a low house sat in the middle of 3 skyscrapers. It was so strange that it was sort of cute. The roof was bright pink, the walls were a fresh green and the windows were sky blue. The shape was eccentric but it was like it had been drawn using the circle and rectangle computer drawing tools as there were no signs of mistakes. Round cartoon bubbles floated above its roof. Garbage disposal station. Tang Mo read these words. A member of the Nanjing group was startled. What is that? He subconsciously wanted to come closer to the house, only to see a yellow ball of light in front of it. Ningning immediately reached out and stopped him, causing the man to look at Ningning. Ningning spoke coldly, the game's sixth rule, each player can only enter the garbage disposal station once. The man immediately realized and explained, I wasn't going to enter. I am just taking a look. Captain, you saw it. There's a light ball over there. It is at the door of the house. The first thing Tang Yamo saw when he came to this garbage disposal station was the little light ball. It was a fist-sized yellow ball of light suspended in front of the door of the garbage disposal station. The ball of light wasn't inside door of the garbage disposal station. Tang Yamo sensed something and went to look at the house from the side. Sure enough, he shouted, you have to come see. The group came over. Xiao Jitong's eyes narrowed when he saw the situation. It is unexpected. He looked at the member of the Nanjing group who had just spoke. You thought that as long as you didn't push the door open, it isn't counted as entering the garbage disposal station. But in front, the house is just a plane. From the side, it becomes a piece of paper. None of us know what is required to enter. Chai Rong, before the right way to clear the instance is found, you must not let anyone near here. The member stopped by Ningning nodded and stood aside. There were 9 rules in this game, one of which mentioned that the way to clear the game was to send the player's surprise into the garbage disposal station. Xiao Jitong said, we don't know what this surprise means at the moment, but the Black Tower mentioned rabbit heads. Every hour, a group of rabbit heads will appear, but the identities of these rabbit heads are unknown. Killing one will give a badge. The Black Tower won't give out useless information. Chai Rong asked, where are the rabbit heads? Xiao Jitong replied, they should be coming soon or have already appeared. Chai Rong thought about it. Then we must first kill the rabbit heads and get badges. This certainly isn't wrong. Xiao Jitong opened his mouth before closing it again. Tang Yamo glanced at him and understood what he was thinking. Xiao Jitong said that they didn't know what the rabbit heads were. The rabbit heads might be a Black Tower monster, an underground person, or perhaps a creature created by the Black Tower for this game. There was another possibility, the rabbit heads were human. In the circus instance, Mr. A and Mr. B were identities given to Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo by the Black Tower. What if, like Mr. A and Mr. B, there was a rabbit figure about players' heads? The Black Tower believed these players were rabbit heads and Chai Rong would have to kill them to get the badge. Tang Mo felt that the Black Tower wouldn't do such a blatant act of letting humans kill each other since it wasn't in keeping with its style. Then he remembered the Mr. A and Mr. B experience and closed his mouth. Like Xiao Jitong, he decided to wait for the real emergence of the rabbit heads. In case they were humans. Would he kill them or not? What would he choose? Tang Mo involuntarily looked at Fu Wenduo and found that Fu Wenduo was also looking at him. The Nanjing group and strategy group were discussing strategies for this game while Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo quietly looked at each other. Neither of them spoke, they just looked at their companions. Tang Mo smiled. If that is the only way to clear the instance. Fu Wenduo interrupted, you have the king's gold coin. Tang Mo stopped speaking. After a moment, he asked, what about you? Fu Wenduo's dark eyes stared at Tang Mo's body. Tang Mo had the gold coin and could abstain from any Black Tower game, but Fu Wenduo couldn't. If killing people was the only way to clear the instance. Both of them knew how difficult the hard mode in the tower attack game was. In addition, Fu Wenduo would be attacking the 3rd floor of the Black Tower. Even he might not be able to survive the 3rd floor's hard mode. Tang Mo smiled. Fu Wenduo's lips also curved. There are 12 hours and a group of rabbit heads appear every hour. It was a total of 12 batches. He didn't say this, but Tang Mo understood his meaning. Tang Mo was preparing to speak when he suddenly heard a strange noise. The group immediately turned to look at the source. Fu Wenduo was the fastest to respond. His feet moved and he grabbed a person hiding behind the tree. His hand grabbed their shoulder and pulled them out of the shadow. Bright moonlight shone on the person, causing the tall man with the rabbit's head to scream in horror. Fu Wenduo hadn't expected this to be the result and was slightly stunned. As a result, the tall rabbit man shook him off and turned to run. Fu Wenduo threw a slender rope and the rope tied around the rabbit man's body. The rope had just been tied around when the rabbit's long ears stood upright. He placed his hands on his hips and made sharp whistling sounds. Gigi. The moment these sounds were heard, the rope suddenly loosened and the rabbit head escaped. Fu Wenduo stared at it coldly. On the other side, Tang Mo, Chai Rong and Ningning also rushed up. They joined with Fu Wenduo to capture the rabbit head from 4 directions. They did their best but they couldn't catch the rabbit. His speed was so fast that he was 1 step ahead of Ningning. It was just that he had almost no attack power and could only scream. The sound shocked the minds of those who heard, and his claws and teeth could leave marks on Tang Mo's skin. However, the group couldn't catch him. The other members of the Nanjing group rushed up. All of them formed a circle, blocking the rabbit head in the middle and then narrowing the encirclement. The human figures were reflected in the rabbit head's bloody red eyes. The next second, he looked up and moved his legs. Gigi. A majestic rabbit head leapt into the air, drawing a beautiful arc and jumping out of the crowd. Xiao Jitong shouted, "Ningning." Ningning's body flashed and she appeared under the place where the rabbit head would fall. She raised her silver bow and fired an arrow. The long silver arrow was like lightning and about to shoot through the rabbit head's heart. Just as the arrow was about to hit, a black figure arrived behind the rabbit head at a faster speed. Under the cold moonlight, a black triangular pyramid weapon didn't hesitate to pierce the head of the rabbit. The next moment, the silver arrow shot through the head. Fu Wenduo grabbed the body of the rabbit head and fell to the ground. The body disappeared into countless yellow lights which condensed above Fu Wenduo's hand. A round wooden badge appeared in his palm. Tang Mo went over and picked up the badge, looking at the letter in the center of the badge. S. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo, their eyes meeting in the air. The Nanjing and Nanjing strategy group members rushed up, wanting to see the badge as well. However, they hadn't yet approached when screams were heard around them. They were overwhelming, forming a resonance in the sky above Nanjing. Everyone froze and looked around. In the darkness, a pair of red eyes emerged. Followed by 2 pairs, 3 pairs. Hundreds of red-eyed rabbit heads hid in every corner of the buildings, trees, and shopping malls, staring at the Nanjing players standing on the street. The next second, they looked up at the black tower in the sky and screamed, "Gigi." A clear child's voice was heard in the midst of this terrible sound. Ding dong. At 18.00, the first group of rabbit heads has officially appeared. The black tower finished speaking and under the moonlight, black shadows leapt through the air. The dense shadows covered the sky so that the moonlight couldn't shine on the earth anymore. Tang Mo's eyes widened as he looked at this spectacular and strange scene. Thousands of rabbits jumped in a curve through the air, running in all directions without looking back. The author has something to say. Tang Tang doesn't hesitate to take the badge from old Fu's hands. Old Fu. Stunned for a long time, #well, if my wife wants to see it. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 92. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The rabbit heads were extremely fast. From their appearance to their escape, everything happened in only 5 seconds. The rabbit heads nimbly jumped between high-rise buildings. In the blink of an eye, there were no longer rabbit heads in the area near Zinjiku Square. Tang Mo looked at the wooden badge in his hand and turned toward Xiao Jitong. He handed the badge over. After killing the rabbit heads, we can get badges like this. This badge has a S on it. Xiao Jitong received the badge and the group members carefully examined it. Tang Mo said, "I don't know what this letter means, but based on the 5th rule of the game, the players must put a surprise into the garbage disposal station to pass the game. Xiao Jitong saw this badge and understood Tang Mo's meaning. This is a game of collecting badges. Killing a rabbit head can get a badge. Collect 8 badges and spell out surprise to pass the game. He paused and said, this is just a guess. The attack power of the rabbit heads aren't strong and we will be hurt by them. However, it will be difficult to catch them. They run too quickly. And Xiao Jitong looked over at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo spoke very calmly, they have the ability to break free of the props. The rope I just used is a black tower prop and the things tied by it can't break free. Fu Wenduo spoke a bit vaguely and didn't completely tell everything to the 2 Nanjing groups. He just said, the way to get a badge is killing the rabbit heads. The moment they are killed, they will become a badge. No one can capture them. Xiao Jitong calmly asked, are you sure none of us can catch them? Fu Wenduo said, yes. They seem to be playing charades, making Chai Rong and the others feel confused. Xiao Jitong stared at Fu Wenduo, wanting to get more information from the other person's mouth. But Fu Wenduo didn't give any openings. Their relationship with Xiao Jitong wasn't close enough for Fu Wenduo to reveal the role of the rope prop. He only needed Xiao Jitong to know. No one could capture the rabbit heads. The only way to get the badges was to kill them. They studied the badge for a while before finally returning it to Fu Wenduo. This was an extremely ordinary wooden badge. It was like a beginner took a piece of wood and carved it with a knife. The rounded edges of the wood were rough and the S letter on the badge was also crooked. The rabbit heads had all run away. Tang Mo said, they scattered in different directions. I'm not certain if there are only rabbit heads here. There might be a number of rabbit heads in other parts of Nanjing. But their numbers are very small. It seems like there are only a few hundred rabbits. I don't remember everyone sticking together to catch the rabbit heads. Xiao Jitong agreed. I think the same. Killing the rabbit heads will give us badges. If we look for the rabbit heads together, the scope of the search will be smaller and we won't be able to assign the badges. The strength of the rabbit heads isn't too high. It is better to divide into teams of 3 or 4 people. The members of the Nanjing group listened to Xiao Jitong's opinion. Xiao Jitong and Ningning intended to return to the base of the strategy group first in order to meet up with Xiao Qiao and the others. Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo intended to go find the rabbit heads and collect the badges. For the moment, all they could do was kill the rabbit heads and collect badges. Fu Wenduo looked down at the little boy. Fu Wensheng hesitated for a moment. I will go with Captain. I have always been with Captain, Sister Rong and Brother Hao to pass the Black Tower game. Our understanding will be higher. Fu Wenduo's dark gaze rested on Fu Wensheng. The child was tense because he was afraid Fu Wenduo wouldn't allow him to act with his group members. However, Fu Wenduo just looked at him before turning to leave with Tang Mo. He left with saying a word and Fu Wensheng sighed with relief. He recalled a previous sentence and repeated it in a whisper, since you made a decision, take responsibility. Xiao Sheng, let's go. Chai Rong shouted. Fu Wensheng replied, I'm coming Captain. Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo quickly Zinjiku Square, following a subway line to find the rabbit heads. In the dark night, they could see players hastily moving. They stared vigilantly when they saw Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, but there were no conflicts. This was Nanjing. A large-scale reality instance might have opened but they players wouldn't immediately fall into a panic and kill each other. Once they were alone, Tang Mo asked bluntly, the things bound by the rope can't break free. It was a guess but there was a 9 out of 10 chance he was right. Fu Wenduo frowned, almost. The specific effect is that once the rope is tied to something, it can't be unlocked within 10 minutes. I can't untie the rope either. He added, it is a causality law. Tang Mo's heart was surprised. He thought for a moment before saying, under the effect of the causality law, the rabbit head broke your rope. This shows he might also have a causality law. Did the Black Tower give them a causality law so that they can never be bound by anything? Therefore, we can't capture them. Only kill them and get the badges. Fu Wenduo replied, it should be. In addition, the causality law is more advanced than my rope. Any props and abilities were very serious if they were related to causality. For example, Tang Mo's ability to change names. He could change a person's name for 3 days due to the causality effect. Whether it was someone who knew them or didn't know them, they would feel that the person was called by a different name. In addition, the Black Tower's words were affected by the law of causality and called Tang Mo by Momo. Once it happened, the result was irreversible. This was the terrible thing about causality. However, it was like a contradiction. A spear that could break all shields and a shield that could block all spears. Once the two met, one of them would be broken and cease to exist. Suppose that Fu Wenduo used the rope with couldn't be untied causality law to bind the rabbit heads with the absolutely can't be tied causality, one of them must be ineffective. It was clear that the rope's causality had been suppressed. This speculation caused Tang Mo's expression to darken. The rabbit heads were extremely difficult to catch and were very fast, faster than any player. It was difficult to kill them because of their dexterous movements. For Tang Mo, Fu Wenduo and the Nanjing groups, this problem wasn't very big. But for the other players of Nanjing, Tang Mo's expression changed and he finally sighed, that's why this is the garbage cleaning game. Players with a certain level of strength can kill the rabbit heads and get a badge. For players with weak strength, they might not be able to stop the rabbit head's claws and screams. Players who are too weak might even be killed by the rabbit heads. After this game is over, the players will have been screened. Assuming that the rabbit heads can be captured, the players might be able to work together to lay traps, capture the rabbit heads and gain badges. However, the rabbit heads can't be captured. They can only be killed. Tang Mo alone could kill a rabbit head, but 10 ordinary Nanjing players would have to work together to kill one. One badge, 10 people. At first, there were many rabbit heads and players could still feel hope. As time passed and there was only 1 hour left, what would happen in that hour? Tang Mo bowed his head and thought about the 9 rules given by the Black Tower. He didn't believe that the method of clearing the instance was only to kill the rabbit heads and collect badges. If this was the case, the Black Tower's method of screening garbage was too obvious and it wouldn't give players a chance. Tang Mo said, if their strength isn't enough, they will definitely fail. The Black Tower doesn't need to give such a complicated game. It can force players with a weak strength to attack the tower directly. Both Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo had experienced this from the tower. Tang Mo looked up to Fu Wenduo. It is giving those players a chance to live through this game. What? Fu Wenduo had been looking at Tang Mo when something strange suddenly flashed in his eyes. He was preparing to speak when he suddenly looked up at a 6-story building not far away. Tang Mo also turned and looked up at the building. He saw a pair of scarlet eyes on the roof, staring straight at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. The 3 pairs of eyes collided before the rabbit head turned to run, leaping from the building. Tang Mo immediately chased after it. Fu Wenduo separated from Tang Mo at the crossroads and moved to the rear of the block. Once the rabbit head was found, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were 100 meters away. The direction of the rabbit head wasn't clear but it kept jumping, giving Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo the chance to catch up. Tang Mo ran around a corner and encountered 3 young women. The 3 women screamed with fright at the sight of him. This call caused 7 or 8 people to run from all directions. At this time, the rabbit flew from the top of a building, jumping towards another building. Ah! A rabbit! A few new people were closer to the rabbit head and hurried to catch it. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed and he ran quickly. He saw that 7 or 8 people were surrounding a rabbit head. The rabbit head screamed with anger, deterring them and not allowing them to approach. Some people were holding knives while some were holding guns. One person timidly shouted, "Kill it," and the others attacked. The rabbit head's sharp claws left a scar on them and its harsh screams made the players dizzy. However, there were many players and the rabbit head was unable to escape smoothly. The rabbit head found a chance and jumped out of the encirclement. A player raised his head and shot the gun at the rabbit's chest. The bullet had just fired when a black figure jumped through the air, leaping over the heads of the players and flying to the side of the rabbit head. The pink parasol pierced the rabbit head's chest. Tang Mo slightly cocked his head and avoided the extremely crooked bullet. He landed and looked at the wooden badge engraved with the letter E in his hand. The players looked at him with astonishment, not understanding where he had come from. Their eyes moved slowly downwards towards the wooden badge in Tang Mo's palm. One person whispered, "This is the badge." The eyes of the crowd became greedy and someone couldn't help moving forward. Bang! The speaker quickly retreated in fear. In the place where he had just been standing, there was a deep hole. Not far away, Fu Wenduo put away the gun. Tang Mo looked at him and walked over with the badge. The two people looked over the group of players and left. Within an hour, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo collected a total of 5 badges. There were so many players in Nanjing that they had only found 7 rabbits. 2 rabbits were killed by other players. Tang Mo didn't steal their badges, but as long as it was a rabbit head that Tang Mo killed, he wouldn't let go of any badges. The second hour arrived and the Black Tower announced the emergence of new rabbit heads. Tang Mo raised his head and stared coldly at the Black Tower. A low voice was heard by his side. The Nanjing group said that there are currently around 20,000 players in Nanjing. Everyone must gain at least 8 badges, so it means 160,000 badges and 160,000 rabbit heads. There are 12 batches, so there must be 13,000 rabbit heads per batch. Tang Mo asked, "Do you really think there will be so many rabbit heads?" No. At night, the Black Tower seemed like a dark monster hovering over Nanjing, looking at the battles happening all over the city. Tang Mo quietly watched the Black Tower for a while. Then he turned to look at Fu Wenduo. "When will those people arrive?" Fu Wenduo didn't ask any questions and directly replied, "According to the time and distance projections, the quickest ones should be Zhenjiang and Chuzhou. After that, perhaps those from Wuxi and Changzhou will come. Shanghai is far away, but it is possible for people to come. The game is 12 hours. Anyone within 6 hours of Nanjing can come. That is Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Anhui. The other end of Nanjing, an abandoned middle school." Xiao Jitong heard that the Black Tower announced that the second batch of rabbit heads had appeared. He stopped and looked at the giant tower in the distance. Xiao Qiao turned and looked at him. "Captain." Xiao Jitong watched for a moment before shaking his head. "It's nothing. 1 hour has passed." Xiao Qiao nodded. "Yes, it is 7 o'clock. It is 1 hour, so the Zhenjiang players should have arrived. By the time the next batch of rabbit heads arrive, the players in Anhui and other places may also arrive. Okay, let's not waste time. Collect the badges we need first." Meanwhile, the Pudong district of Shanghai. Luo Fengqing sat in the office, looking at the long triangle map on the table. His fingers tapped on the word Nanjing, and he used his fingers to draw the distance between Nanjing and Shanghai. He pondered something while Tang Qiao stood silently beside her. 3 minutes later, Luo Fengqing sighed heavily and smiled, "We won't go. Shanghai is too far away. We might encounter some things or people on the road, delaying the time. By the time we get there, it will be midnight and there will only have 6 hours of game time left. We don't know the specific rules of the game and people would have been participating for 6 hours already. It isn't worth it. Tang Chi wanted to say something more, but when she saw the serious expression on Luo Fengcheng's face, she closed her mouth and walked out of the office. In a small and empty restaurant next to Jiming Temple, Nanjing, Tang Mo stood behind the door and calmly observed the environment outside. A one-time exemption from attacking the tower. This reward is very attractive, especially for players who would be forced to attack the tower. These 10 districts were classified by the Black Tower as last, indicating that the level of players here is very low. The reason it announced the 10 districts to all of China isn't just to inform the players of the 10 districts that they have entered the game. It is telling other players where to participate in this garbage cleaning game. After a pause, Tang Mo continued. From 18.00 on March 5 to 6.00 on March 6, all players who set foot in the 10 districts will be considered as participating in the game. This rule is telling them what time to enter. Fu Wenduo looked over at Tang Mo's side and his lips curved downwards. He spoke lightly. To be willing to participate in an unknown Black Tower game, the players must be strong, ambitious and cruel. The biggest possibility is a stowaway. Tang Mo was watching Fu Wenduo while Fu Wenduo stared calmly back. The two people gazed at each other. A moment later, Tang Mo smiled. "Shall we go?" Fu Wenduo's lips curved. "Let's go." In the dark night, a group of black figures appeared from various places and quietly entered the boundaries of Nanjing. There were 11 hours left. The author has something to say. Old Phi. Shoots, yes. I heard that you were trying to steal my wife's badge. The group of Nanjing players moves back. I didn't, I'm telling you I didn't. I'm not lying QAQ. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 93. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The night was dark. Thick clouds floated in the sky from the west, blocking the moon. Nanjing was silent. Withered leaves piled on the roadside and abandoned vehicles were left in the middle of the road. A black shadow quickly passed through the middle of the two buildings. It had a big white rabbit head and red eyes. The rabbit head ran quickly with a piece of human flesh between the sharp teeth. The rabbit head jumped over two buildings and fell into an alley. Bang! A bullet came from behind it and the rabbit head moved quickly to the side, a small hole appearing in its long ears. It angrily roared at the man chasing behind it, uprooting a big tree on the side of the road and threw it at him. Fu Wenduo dodged to the side, stabbing a sharp black weapon towards the head of the rabbit head. The rabbit head quickly moved away from the blow. Fu Wenduo's right hand stabbed into the wall, causing a long crack and causing his hand to be stuck in the wall. The rabbit head took the opportunity to flee, but as soon as he turned his head, he saw a tall and thin figure standing at the exit of the alley. Tang Mo placed his hand on his waist and looked calmly at the rabbit head, whispering, "Return my grandfather." In an instant, overwhelming flames shot out. The rabbit head screamed with horror, frantically trying to run backwards. However, Fu Wenduo was behind him. His mouth twitched slightly and he somehow had a stone shield in his hand. It was a piece of the wall that Fu Wenduo just took down. The rabbit head hadn't expected the stuck Fu Wenduo to actually take out a large slab from the wall. The huge stone blocked the front of Fu Wenduo, blocking the rabbit head's escape and preventing the flames from burning him. The rabbit head tried to jump away but it was already burned. "GG." Bitter cries echoed in the alley. Once the flames finished, Fu Wenduo threw aside the stone. He bent down to look at the burnt corpse of the rabbit head and examined it. The corpse soon became a wooden badge. Tang Mo picked up the badge and frowned when he saw the letter on it. "It is another S." Fu Wenduo got up. On this chaotic night, the sound of fighting and explosions were heard everywhere. The sound of gunfire and buildings being destroyed never stopped. Tang Mo put the badge in his pocket. "Now we have 15 badges. It is now 10.40. The fourth batch of rabbit heads have been killed and only a few rabbit heads are left. The odds are low. Tang Mo paused before saying, the situation isn't very good. The two of them walked out of the alley together. We have 7S, 5R, 1U, 1P, and 1E. Fu Wenduo's right hand was restored to its original state. He calmly said, we have every letter except an I. If the progress is the same, we will collect the other letters before 6 a.m. tomorrow. Tang Mo replied, however, the number of rabbit heads is getting smaller and smaller. In addition, there are too many S and RS. 15 badges in 4 hours. It seemed like Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo weren't too far away from clearing the game. When Tang Mo got the second E badge, he guessed that killing the rabbit heads would give badges with different letters which would spell out surprise. As he expected, the letters on the badges were indeed related to surprise. Even so, there were too many duplicate badges among these 15 badges. Surprise had a total of 8 letters. S and R were repeated twice while the other letters only showed up once. In order for Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo to spell out 2 surprises, they needed to get 4 S, 4 R, and 2 of the remaining letters. The strength of these 2 was very strong. This cleansing game was originally opened by the Black Tower to screen out the bottom-ranked people. It had nothing to do with them and they accidentally got involved. With their strength, they could get a badge as long as they encountered a rabbit head. However, they got duplicated badges. We deliberately didn't walk together to find the rabbit heads. In 4 hours, we have passed through the main part of Nanjing, the Jiangning district and the Qixia district. The reason why they went to so many places was because there were too few rabbit heads and too many players. It was very difficult for them to find a rabbit head that hadn't already been killed. Tang Mo said, we can rule out rabbit heads with the same letter badge appearing in only the same area. Fu Wenduo added, the appearance of the rabbit heads is random and the occurrence time is every hour. The two of them walked to the junction of Qixia district and Puku district. Fu Wenduo looked at the traffic signs on the road and said, let's go to Puku district. Tang Mo nodded, yes. The two men soon entered Puku district. There were 11 districts in Nanjing. Before separating, Xiao Jitong had said to Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, you might not know this about Nanjing but Nanjing has a total of 11 districts. The Black Tower said that Nanjing has 11 garbage disposal stations and China District 49, Dongying has 6. I don't know how many districts Dongying has but Nanjing has 11. Now we have found the first garbage disposal station in the center of Qinhuai district. It is likely that the other 10 waste disposal stations are at the center of the remaining 10 districts. The Nanjing group will go to these places to check the specific situation. In the last hour, we will assemble here. Tang Mo, Mr. Fu, if you want to find us, you can come back here. The appearance of the rabbit heads was completely random but the location of the garbage disposal stations were regular. 30 minutes later, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo reached the central business district of Puku district. In the distance, they saw an oddly colored house situation at the intersection. Tang Mo walked close to and looked at the characters on top of the house. Tang Mo said, this is the 7th garbage disposal station. As Xiao Jitong said, the garbage disposal stations are located in the most prosperous areas of each district. Tang Mo's brain thought quickly. Why place it here? The location of the rabbit heads was completely random. The garbage disposal stations were located in the heart of the bustling area of each district. He could imagine that like Nanjing, the garbage disposal stations in the other 10 cities were in the most prosperous areas. The Black Tower set the number of garbage disposal stations according to the number of districts in each city, putting them in these places. Fu Wenduo said, the garbage disposal places must have some similarities with their locations. Tang Mo thought, they are the most prosperous areas in every city. The most prosperous locations would certainly have the highest flow of people. Fu Wenduo's eyes narrowed and he thought for a moment. The area with the highest flow of people, the number of garbage disposal stations is determined according to the number of districts. The most prosperous and famous locations with the most people. Tang Mo was shocked when he heard this. The most famous locations. Fu Wenduo looked at him and frowned when he understood Tang Mo's meaning. Tang Mo said, players have to put surprise into the garbage disposal station to clear the game. Setting up garbage disposal stations in these bustling locations means that every player can find one. Players might not know the center location of unfamiliar districts, but they would look for the most bustling location and most likely come here. Fu Wenduo continued the line of thought. This ensures that all players know the location of each garbage disposal station. Tang Mo said, perhaps in the first few hours of the game, many players have already found the nearest garbage disposal station. Tang Mo's voice stopped. A cold wind blew in the distance and the hairs on Tang Mo's body rose. He looked at the surrounding area. At this time, Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo were standing at an intersection. The colorful disposal station stood in the middle of the intersection, surrounded by once bustling commercial streets. Now these streets were quiet. There was no sound, only the wind blow and the rustling of leaves. There was no one here. It seemed like only Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were standing here and looking around. Tang Mo's eyes swept over the surrounding buildings and stores and he licked his lips. A moment later, he turned to look at Fu Wenduo. The two of them reached the same opinion in silence and stepped away from the garbage disposal station. There was still no movement around them when they left, as if there were no people. Meanwhile, Nanjing's Gulu district. In the middle of the store, a wretched-looking middle-aged man squeezed a wooden badge and ran ahead. He ran as hard as he could. He had just run 100 meters when two young men turned the corner and shouted angrily, "Bring our badge back. Don't run. Give us back our badge." How could the middle-aged man be willing to stop? He moved forward and fled, his familiarity with the area meaning that he ran into an alley and got away from the two young men. Still, the young men's physical fitness was obviously better. How long would it take for them to catch up with him? The three people ran through the area. Time passed and the middle-aged man became physically exhausted. The distance between the three people slowly shortened. Suddenly, one arm tugged at the middle-aged man's clothes and mercilessly pulled him to the ground. The middle-aged man grunted with pain. He hadn't recovered yet when a fist slammed into his face. "Running away, see if I will let you run." The young man cried out angrily and he wasn't polite with punching the middle-aged man's body. His companion snatched the badge from the middle-aged man and saw the S engraved on it. These two young men were official players. Their abilities might be trash and they weren't very strong, but they were still stronger than ordinary reserves. Previously, they met a single rabbit head with no other players around and rushed to kill the rabbit head. It took a lot of effort but the two of them managed to kill the rabbit. They had just taken the badge when it was stolen by this middle-aged man. How could these two people be willing to leave it alone? Once the middle-aged man was swollen, they spat and got up to leave. But the moment they stood up, a hint of a ruthless light flashed on the man's bloody face. He suddenly pulled a sharp dagger out of his sleeve and stabbed the young man closest to him. "I will kill you." The young man was frightened and subconsciously tried to avoid it but he was too late. As he waited in horror for his death, his companion suddenly reached out and grabbed the dagger. Meanwhile, his other hand held a knife and stabbed it into the middle-aged man's chest. The middle-aged man stared at them before dying. The two young men trembled as they looked at the scene. "Brother, your hand." The young man who killed the middle-aged man spoke in a trembling voice. "It doesn't matter. I didn't mean to kill him. He was going to kill you." This was the first time he had killed someone. It might be common to kill in other areas but in Nanjing, even stowaways rarely killed, let alone official players and reserves. The two brothers looked at each other and gradually calmed down. They were just about to leave when the brother who killed cried out with surprise, "What is that?" The younger brother also made a strange sound and stopped to pick up a wooden badge. He looked at the letter and exclaimed, "Is this a badge? Where did the badge come from? Did you see it?" "I didn't see it." "Impossible, this badge wasn't there before. It just suddenly appeared." The brother stopped for a moment. How can a badge suddenly appear? Then he stiffened and looked at the dead middle-aged man. He said, "The people in the mentioned 10 districts are all garbage. The last person's garbage cleaning game. This is the last person's garbage cleaning game. Killing players can also get a badge. We can get badges." The same situation was occurring in the other 9 districts of China. In Nanjing's Qinhuai district, a short old man pulled out a knife that pierced someone's heart and bent over to pick up the badge that was next to the man's body. He saw the letter on the badge and said coldly, "It is AR again." The old man wiped away the blood on the knife and quietly left this place. Once Tang Yamo returned to the main area of Nanjing, he saw many dead bodies lying on the ground. He even saw a middle-aged man kill a woman with his own eyes. The middle-aged man had just killed someone and this was the most stressful time. He took 2 steps back when he saw Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. Once he calmed down, he ran back and took the wooden badge from the woman's side before continuing to escape. The Nanjing group had more than 40 members and the strategy group had a total of 7 members. Even if they were all in Nanjing and not in instances, they couldn't manage such a large Nanjing. When the Black Tower announced the rules of the game, Tang Yamo and Xiao Jitong speculated that killing would give badges. The Black Tower called the players in these 10 areas garbage and the game itself was a garbage cleaning game. There was a good chance that a reward could be obtained from killing players, cleaning up the trash. The most likely reward was a badge. It was only a matter of time before players found out this fact. Once one person found out that killing people would give badges, all of Nanjing would become chaotic. Tang Yamo stood on the side of the road and looked at a young corpse. She was a primary school student. She stared at the sky with her eyes wide open. Unfortunately, she couldn't see the sky at all, only the dense sycamore trees. The leaves obscured the tree and even if she could see, everything would just be black. The day wasn't bright and now was the Black Tower's garbage cleaning game. Nanjing's players were mostly low level and the rabbit heads were hard to catch and difficult to kill. Killing the humans was better than the rabbit heads. Right now, only 5 hours had passed and there were 5 batches of rabbit heads. What would happen in the last 1 or 2 hours? Tang Yamo said, "Players have long found the locations of the garbage disposal station but no one has appeared. There are definitely players hiding in the dark around the garbage disposal station. In order to clear the instance, a player must enter the garbage disposal station. That is the best place to kill people for badges. The number of rabbit heads is clearly not enough for 20,000 Nanjing players to clear the game. Now there are also players from other regions entering Nanjing to participate in the game." Fu Wenduo stopped speaking and looked at Tang Yamo. Tang Mo's face had no expression. He crouched down and closed the little girl's eyes. Once Tang Yamo stood up, Fu Wenduo continued speaking, "Killing players and getting badges definitely isn't the way to clear the game. The Black Tower wouldn't give such a game." Tang Yamo nodded. "Yes. Every Black Tower game has a custom way to clear it. In any case, killing certainly isn't the only way to clear the game. It must give a way for every player to pass the instance." Tang Yamo carefully recalled the 9 rules of the game that the Black Tower gave him and spoke while thinking, "Put the surprise into the garbage disposal station." "The sir." His voice trailed off and Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo raised their heads at the same time. A rabbit head flew over their heads and landed steadily on the road. The rabbit head flew out of a small building next to him and hadn't found anyone when flying out. It cocked its ears as it saw Tang Mo's duo. The two men and one rabbit head stared at each other. The next moment, the rabbit head turned to run. Tang Yamo coldly rushed up to it. The rabbit head was unlucky. He might be fast, but he had met Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. The two of them separated and easily blocked it. The rabbit head was captured in the middle of the road by Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. Its eyes looked back and forth between the two men. It soon turned its head towards Tang Yamo and screamed, "Jijiji." It seemed to be aware that Tang Yamo might be the weak point. Its legs kicked off against the ground and it rushed towards Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo took out his small parasol and opened it. Bang! The rabbit head struck the small parasol and fell backwards. Tang Yamo was also shaken by the powerful force and took 3 steps back. Fu Wenduo immediately rushed up. Tang Yamo closed the small parasol and stabbed the knocked-over rabbit head. The rabbit head jumped around while screaming. Tang Yamo followed after him, stabbing with the small parasol. The small parasol pierced the ground and walls, making one big hole after another. Fu Wenduo also followed closely and the rabbit head was forced into a dead corner. Tang Yamo narrowed his eyes and raised the small parasol to stab it. This time, the rabbit head couldn't hide and the pink parasol headed straight towards its head. The rabbit head shook and its body turned to light, a wooden badge falling to the ground. Tang Yamo bent over to pick up the badge and Fu Wenduo came to his side. Then a hoarse laugh was heard from behind them. The two men turned to look. Under a huge sycamore tree, a very beautiful young woman stood, her mouth raised as she looked at them with ill intentions. This woman was very beautiful, just like any popular actress before the earth went online. However, she wasn't the one who laughed. It was a middle-aged man standing beside her. The man's cold eyes swept over Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's body, finally falling towards the wooden badge on Tang Mo's palm. The woman covered her lips and smiled. Her voice was very soft and her tone ambiguous. "Handsome little boy, your badge. What is the letter on it?" Tang Yamo put the badge into his pocket and stared at the two people coldly. The woman seemed dissatisfied that she didn't get a response from Tang Yamo. She didn't like men ignoring her. She looked at Tang Yamo and scoffed coldly. Then she looked at Fu Wenduo. "Handsome man, what is the letter on that badge your friend just got? Say it. We won't steal it, we're just curious." Fu Wenduo looked at her calmly. She saw Fu Wenduo staring at her and her smile widened. She wanted to say something but didn't expect Fu Wenduo to turn away with the words, "They aren't Nanjing players." Tang Yamo nodded. According to the time, players from Wuxi, Changzhou and Anhui would have arrived. Based on the accent, she seems to be from Suzhou or Wuxi. Fu Wenduo made a sound that agreed with him. The woman who was ignored by the two people. The woman's face turned different colors as she watched Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's backs. She pinched her fingers and looked at her companion. The both of them nodded and the sharp sound of wind being cut was heard behind Tang Yamo as he moved his head to the side to avoid it. A silver knife flew past his cheek. Fu Wenduo took action and grasped the silver chain tied to the knife. The middle-aged man was startled. Then he shouted and the silver chain suddenly turned red. Fu Wenduo's brow wrinkled and he released his grasp on the silver chain. The man took the opportunity to take the knife and chain back. The moment the knife was retracted, a slender hand approached from the other side towards Tang Mo's cheek. Tang Yamo reacted quickly, taking a step back to avoid the blow. The young woman smiled, her eyes on Tang Mo's face as she softly said, "Handsome young man, you are right. We are players from Wuxi. This is a rare encounter, so why don't we talk?" "Oh, don't give me that type of look. We are good players and would never kill anyone. Players from different cities should form a friendship and discuss things. Isn't this a good deal?" The woman's hand came up without waiting for Tang Mo's answer. Tang Yamo rolled on the ground, dodging the blow. The woman's hand rubbed against his face. Fu Wenduo was coming to help when the silver knife attacked again. The middle-aged man laughed loudly. Your opponent is me. Fu Wenduo frowned and stopped worrying about Tang Mo's situation as he directly attacked the middle-aged man. The four people fought on the spacious street. Colossal sounds were constantly heard. The knife tied to the silver chain aimed at Fu Wenduo from all directions. The chain could tangle up his movements and the knife waited for an opportunity, like a sinister poisonous snake finding the right time to attack. The middle-aged man could still laugh at first but his movements were gradually being guessed by Fu Wenduo. He barely moved when Fu Wenduo guessed his next position. The middle-aged man had a bad feeling in his heart. He thought, Nanjing is a trash area. How can there be such a powerful player? He didn't have time to warn his companion that something was wrong when a dark weapon aimed at him. Boom, the big tree was knocked down and the shocked man retracted his knife and silver chain. On the other side, Tang Mo's situation wasn't as good as Fu Wenduo's. This woman was very fast. She seemed like a fish as she slipped away. Her attacks didn't harm him but Tang Yamo found it very difficult to catch her. She didn't deliberately attack Tang Yamo. It was as if her words were true about not wanting to kill him. Her hands constantly rubbed against Tang Mo's cheeks and wrists, as if she was deliberately touching him. Tang Yamo didn't think that this woman actually wanted to eat his tofu. He narrowed his eyes and opened the small parasol. The woman's hand hit the small parasol and she screamed with pain before returning to the middle-aged man's side. Tang Yamo had thoroughly figured out her movement and prepared to directly catch her with the next blow. However, the woman didn't do anything. She placed the hand that had just been touching Tang Yamo on the ground and the palm gave off a white light. She smiled softly, ah, there was enough time. Handsome boy, you are very good to touch. Let me see, what is your power? Tang Mo's eyes widened at the woman's voice. He noticed something was wrong and attacked with his small parasol to stop the woman from speaking. He didn't expect the woman to laugh and slam her hand against the ground. Then a white light suddenly rose from her hand and gathered around her. She smiled and waited for the result to appear. Then she saw the white light split into two pieces. The woman's smiling face suddenly froze and the middle-aged man beside him looked at the scene in horror, his mouth dropping open. This. What is this? The white lights were constantly splitting apart. The light split from 2 to 3, then 4 and 5. Finally, a total of 21 lights floated beside the young woman. Each light wasn't big and 20 of them were the size of a fist. Only one sphere of light was half the size of a head and rampaged in the middle of the cluster. The 21 lights in 4 different colors danced in front of the woman's eyes. The woman's body began to tremble. She looked at the scene in horror before raising her head, staring at Tang Yamo with disbelief. You. How can you have so many abilities? Fu Wenduo's lips curved and he calmly looked at Tang Yamo. Tang Mo's face darkened. He gripped the handle of the small parasol tightly and rushed forward. The author has something to say. Beautiful woman. Are you human? Scared face, Tang Tang. Let's see you eat my tofu, cold face, old Fu. Since you ate my wife's tofu, I will cut you, smiley face. Oh yes, you told me my wife's secret, I'll make you an intact corpse. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A fierce wind blew and the woman moved to the side with horror, but she was slow by half a beat. The pink parasol scratched her cheek and she screamed from the burning pain on her face. This was the first time touching her own face and red blood oozed. My face, my face. Tang Yamo retracted the small parasol and the middle-aged man by her side took the opportunity to throw the knife. The knife tied with the chain aimed at Tang Yamo and he backed away. The middle-aged man tied the chain around the young woman's arm to bring her back to his side. At the same time, Tang Yamo stretched out his hand towards the 21 lights floating in the air. The woman's eyes widened when she saw this. The right side of her face was stained with blood, and originally beautiful face now looked terrible. She stared at Tang Yamo with hate. The middle-aged man wanted to pull her and run away, but she twisted her head and shouted, "Kill them." The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment before rushing forward. The silver knife moved through the air and continued to attack Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo deftly avoided the knife, but the middle-aged man's knife and chain were very flexible, like they were part of his body. He was faster than Tang Yamo. The chain danced like a silver snake in the air, focused on Tang Yamo. Tang Mo's hands and feet were hampered by it. At this time, a red dart appeared in the palm of the screaming young woman's hand. Fu Wenduo, who had been standing in the rear without moving, frowned when he saw this red dart appear. The next moment, the woman's fingers forcefully moved over the dart. The blade of dart cut the woman's hand and red blood covered the small dart. The dart shot straight to Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo dealt with the middle-aged man while moving sideways and escaping the small dart. However, the small dart stopped when it reached his side. Tang Yamo sensed something bad as a red light lit up on the small dart. At this time, a black weapon came from behind Tang Mo's body and slammed into the small dart, pushing it far away. The small dart flew through the air and suddenly exploded into countless red powder. Fu Wenduo wrapped an arm around Tang Mo's waist to pull them back 10 meters, avoiding the falling red powder. The two of them didn't have time to react, and the middle-aged man and the young woman came from the left and right sides. "Kill him." For a time, the four people fought each other. The strange red powder didn't fall to the ground after the explosion as it stayed floating in the air. The young man and woman moved so that the red powder surrounded them. Fu Wenduo said, "Hold your breath." "Okay." On the quiet street, the metal collisions sounds continued to ring out. The physical qualities of these two players far exceeded ordinary official players. They were either stowaways or had passed the Black Tower's second floor. They were decisive and had wanted to run away once the situation seemed strange. Now that the young woman had issued the order to kill Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo, they were very ruthless. Every stab aimed at Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's vital points. However, these two people weren't the most powerful. In the Nanjing group, they might be in the middle or upper levels, but they weren't as good as Chai Rong. It was just that this red powder was too strange, meaning Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo didn't dare act rashly. The long time he held his breath caused Tang Mo's speed to drop and his movements gradually slowed down. The woman seized this chance to attack. Her right hand flashed and a red dart appeared in her hand again. She leaned forward and threw the dart. Tang Yamo leaned his body back and barely avoided this blow. But the small dart was still hovering in front of his face. Tang Mo's heart tensed. Bang! The small dart exploded in front of Tang Mo's eyes and the powder fell towards his face. In the blink of an eye, a black shadow appeared in front of Tang Mo's face. The red powder fell on the black weapon, giving Tang Yamo a chance to breathe. He supported himself with one hand against the ground and quickly hurried away. At the same time, he opened the small parasol to cover himself and Fu Wenduo. Their red powder fell on the small parasol and there was a strange sound. Tang Yamo looked down at Fu Wenduo's hand. "How is it?" There was only a faint white luster on the dark cone. Fu Wenduo's voice was calm as he said, "It is nothing." The young woman saw that Fu Wenduo wasn't hurt despite being hit by the small dart's powder and realized the seriousness of this matter. She turned to her companion and cried out, "Run!" Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo didn't allow them to run away. The powder in the air had been exhausted in the previous fighting and the two people obviously didn't have any extra darts. Tang Yamo closed the small parasol and aimed the sharp tip at the young woman. Bang! The tip of the small parasol pierced the woman's shoulder and nailed her to the trunk of the sycamore tree. On the other side, Fu Wen Duo kicked the sycamore tree and blocked the escape route of the middle-aged man. Under the sycamore tree, the man and woman looked at the two players in front of them with horror. Half of the young woman's face was intact while the other half was stained with blood. Her wide eyes stared at Tang Mo with fear. Her lips moved continuously but she didn't speak. Beside her, the middle-aged man gulped and pulled out 7 or 8 wooden badges. "Big brothers, these are all our badges. I will give them to you. Please spare our lives. We really didn't want to steal your badges at first. It was a misunderstanding." Fu Wen Duo took the badges from the middle-aged man and looked at them. He raised his eyebrows. 1I, 3S and 3R. Fu Wenduo's gaze stopped on one side of the blood-covered wooden badges. He said casually, "There is blood." The rabbit heads had no blood in their bodies and didn't splash blood on the badges when dying. It was only when killing players that blood would get on the badge. Tang Mo stared coldly at the two players in front of him. The young woman no longer dared to act arrogant. She lowered her pretty face and didn't speak. The middle-aged man begged enthusiastically. Once he saw that Tang Mo and Fu Wen Duo were reluctant to let them go, he gritted his teeth and pulled out a few strange props. Fu Wen Duo grabbed the props and didn't speak. The expression on the middle-aged man's face sank further. He wanted to say something again but Fu Wen Duo looked at Tang Mo first. "It is almost time to meet them." Tang Mo nodded. "Let's go." The man and woman gave all the props on their bodies and the badges in exchange for their lives. The middle-aged man stared resentfully at Tang Mo and Fu Wen Duo. Tang Mo pulled out the small parasol from the woman's shoulder. The woman scoffed and Tang Mo placed the small parasol at his waist. He just turned to leave with Fu Wen Duo when the young woman suddenly raised her head and shouted, "I will kill you." A white ball of light flew from the distance towards the woman's palm. She aimed the light ball at Tang Mo but he was already prepared. A huge match suddenly appeared in the air, blocking the white light. The white light collided with the giant match and exploded. Tang Mo subconsciously covered his face and chest with his arms but the young woman wasn't so lucky. The light sphere exploded in front of her, turning her face into a bloody mess. Still, she was a powerful player and didn't die. The next second, she stared in horror. A giant match fell from the sky and struck her head without hesitation. There was a clear sound and the young woman's head was completely broken. On the other side, the middle-aged man saw the scene and ran away without hesitation. He had just started running when a black weapon pierced his chest from behind. Fu Wen Duo pulled out his weapon. The bodies of the middle-aged man and woman fell to the ground, 2 wooden badges appearing beside them. Tang Mo gently gasped. He put away the big match and bent over to pick up the 2 badges. He touched the 2 badges and tried to pick them up, but his hands kept shaking and he couldn't hold them. Fu Wen Duo picked up the badges. He turned to look at Tang Mo's arms. The flesh was torn and he could see the white bone inside. The blood had stopped but the wounds hadn't healed. The explosion helped kill the young woman while the flesh on Tang Mo's arms were blown away. Tang Mo saw Fu Wen Duo grab the badges and asked, "What are the letters?" Fu Wen Duo stared silently at Tang Mo for a moment. Tang Mo looked at him strangely. "What's the matter?" Fu Wen Duo stared for a long time before finally shaking his head. "It's nothing. They are AS and P." Tang Mo didn't think too much. His useless arms hung down as he calmly analyzed, there was an I in the badge they gave. "At present, we have already made up 1 surprise set. I originally thought that the I badge was the difficulty of the game and it can't be obtained from killing the rabbit heads or players. I didn't expect it to be available." Tang Mo thought about it. These 2 people are likely to be stowaways. Their badges were probably obtained by killing players. We killed rabbits and didn't get the I badge. Does this mean that killing players? His voice stopped. Tang Yamo looked down at his arms because a cool feeling had hit it. While Tang Yamo was talking, Fu Wenduo took out a small bottle of mineral water and poured it on Tang Mo's arms. His wound started to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In 10 seconds, the terrible wounds on his arms were gone. Fu Wenduo put away the mineral water. Tang Yamo quietly looked at him, his lips opening and closing. There was a strange feeling. Tang Yamo often felt this inexplicable feeling when he was with Fu Wenduo. It was strange to describe what it felt like. Tang Yamo wasn't a good talking. He had a lot to say when playing games, but otherwise, he couldn't find a topic. But when playing games with Fu Wenduo or just getting along with this person, Tang Yamo didn't know what to say. He felt that something was wrong and could only shut up. There was a long silence before Tang Yamo asked, "This is Xiao Jitong's mineral water." Fu Wenduo shook his head. "I got it from Fu Wensheng. It seems to be a very common thing in the two Nanjing groups." Tang Yamo thought of something else. "You killed him." The young woman was killed by Tang Yamo and he was certain that middle-aged man was dead. He went to the middle-aged man's side to look and found that Fu Wenduo had pierced the person's heart. It was a decisive action that didn't give the middle-aged man a chance to respond. Fu Wenduo asked, "You didn't want me to kill him?" Of the two players, the middle-aged man had long wanted to leave. It was the woman who tried to kill Tang Yamo. Then the young woman attacked and the middle-aged man didn't participate. Tang Yamo said, "Women are really strange. Why did she try to kill me?" Fu Wenduo's lips curved. "She probably hated you and wanted to kill you because you hurt her face. She is a powerful player. The wound isn't deep and would definitely recover in a few days." Fu Wenduo replied, "But you still hurt her face." Tang Yamo was speechless. He really didn't understand women. The young woman hadn't concealed her hatred for Tang Yamo, so Tang Yamo wasn't going to spare them. The moment when he turned away was when the two players were most relaxed and alert. Tang Yamo planned to act at that time. He guessed that the two people might sneak attack him and was prepared, but he didn't expect. She still has this type of attack. Tang Yamo didn't expect the woman to call the sphere of light to attack Tang Yamo. After the largest sphere exploded, the remaining 20 spheres disappeared. "I didn't want to kill him," Tang Yamo said as he stood next to the middle-aged man's body. Fu Wenduo didn't hear any deep meaning behind Tang Mo's words. He looked at Tang Yamo and saw the young man's calm eyes. Tang Yamo said, "Next time, if something like this happens, can you give me the kill?" Fu Wenduo was stunned. His face was unchanged but his brain was working quickly. Tang Mo wanted to kill. No, he wanted the person to die by his hands. Fu Wenduo was about to ask a question when Tang Yamo reached out and pulled out a book. Fu Wenduo's eyes narrowed when he saw this and then his lips curved. He didn't speak and quietly waited for Tang Yamo to explain. Tang Yamo flipped through the book while saying, "We are teammates. I don't know what your ability is but I have observed a little bit. Understanding the abilities of your teammates is important for cooperating to clear instances. As for my ability, you might have already guessed." Tang Mo's tone was certain. Just now, the young woman had shouted that Tang Yamo had a lot of abilities, yet Fu Wenduo didn't look surprised at all. His gaze towards Tang Yamo was more ridiculing. This man had long guessed that Tang Yamo had more than one ability. Of course, Tang Yamo didn't intentionally deceive Fu Wenduo. He wanted to tell the other person about his abilities. "My ability is specific and I'm not particularly clear about it. Just now, I killed the woman. You just have to look at the last page of the book and will probably understand my ability." His voice came to a stop. Fu Wenduo was about to look at the last page of the abilities book when Tang Yamo slammed the book shut. Fu Wenduo was startled. What's the matter? Tang Mo. After a while, Tang Mo opened the abilities book and secretly glanced at it. He frowned as he saw the words and forcibly closed the book before looking at Fu Wenduo again. Tang Mo spoke with no expression. You don't have to read this cheap. This book. My ability is very simple, so I will tell you. Fu Wenduo looked meaningfully at Tang Mo before smiling. Okay. These words were written on the last page of the abilities book. Ability. Don't try to hide a dime. Owner. Lin Yashu, stowaway, type. Special type, function. View the player's ability by touching the light sphere. After determining the player's ability, you can use the ability, 20% effect, for 1 minute to 1 hour. Level. 4. Restrictions. You must touch the other person for a long time and you need to directly touch the skin. The higher the ability level, the longer the time you need to touch the person. Touching private areas will shorten this time. If the opponent's ability level is much higher than yours, the effect of using the ability is greatly reduced. It can be used 3 times a day. Remark. These old ladies, I don't have a secret stash of money. I won't give you a dime. Tang Mo version usage instructions. Can only be used once every 3 days. The upper limit for using the opponent's ability is 10% and this is limited to 30 minutes after determining the ability. This low-level garbage version of me, I don't acknowledge it. Of course, Tang Mo might like it very much. He can confidently gay touch other people. Like the person in front of him. The author has something to say. Tang. Who wants to use these hands to touch old Fu? Old Fu. According to my ability level, you might have to hold my hand for 1 day and 1 night to get my ability. I can let you touch a more private area. Selfless expression. Tang at hashtag email protected, hashtag email protected, hashtag. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 95. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Earth is Online. Chapter 95. Chapter 95. Fu Wenduo realized a long time ago that Tang Mo's ability seemed strange. From Beijing to Shanghai, he had seen many powerful players and encountered strong abilities. For example, the leader of Beijing's Stowaways organization had a very special ability, so that Fu Wenduo didn't dare underestimate him. However, Tang Mo's ability seemed different from other people's abilities. The most important point was that Fu Wenduo had never seen Tang Mo constantly using the same ability. Normal players would frequently use their ability. For example, the methods of fighting that the 4 stowaways in the Strange Circus instance used were mostly unchanged. The pretty teenager's ability was related to bugs while the bald man's ability was to turn into a brown bear. Tang Mo used many methods to kill, but he never used one means for a long time. The reason for this might be because his ability had a restriction, such as it could only be used a few times a day. In addition to this, there was another possibility. Then you have a lot of abilities. Fu Wenduo asked this question, but there was no surprise in his voice. Tang Mo looked at his face and realized that this person had long guessed his ability. They were teammates and there was no need to hide too much. Fu Wenduo couldn't kill him. Tang Mo stated, to be exact, I have one ability, that is, I can collect other people's abilities. I currently have more than 20 abilities, but most of them are useless or have many limitations. Fu Wenduo said, it is possible for you to collect other people's abilities. If there isn't a limit, the Black Tower games would be too unfair. There was a pause as Fu Wenduo thought about it. The first time you attacked the tower 4 months ago, you changed your name and was called Momo. Tang Mo honestly admitted it. Yes, that was my ability. In the game, Tang Mo had used the ability to change his name to Momo. His explanation to Fu Wenduo was that he renamed himself with a prop. After knowing the truth, Fu Wenduo thought some more and asked, spraying fire, using a strong wind and moving some things in front of you. Was this man's memory that good? Or had he been paying attention to Tang Mo the whole time? Tang Mo replied helplessly, yes, they are all abilities. However, I have very few offensive abilities. Most are similar to the name-changing ability. There are two ways I can obtain abilities. The first one I'm not sure about, but it basically receiving something from another person. I can get their ability at the same time. The second is. Tang Mo's voice stopped and he looked at the man and woman on the ground. Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice, to kill. That's why Tang Mo said that he hoped Fu Wenduo would hand him the kill in later encounters. In fact, Fu Wenduo said one thing wrong. Even if "don't give money for eating" had restrictions, it was a very powerful ability. It was possible that it was one of the most powerful abilities in the world. As long as he continued to kill players with abilities, he could gain more abilities. The Earth had been online for half a year and Tang Mo only had 22 abilities, including the "don't give money for eating" ability. This was because he didn't want to use killing as a means to collect abilities. He never killed people for abilities but gained the abilities because he was forced to kill. A ruthless player would have much more than 22 abilities in the abilities book. They might have 100 or even 1,000 abilities. Fu Wenduo didn't show any special emotions when he heard that Tang Mo could get abilities by killing. He found that Tang Mo was watching the bodies of the two players and asked, "What is her power?" Fu Wenduo was talking about the beautiful woman. Tang Mo just killed her so he would naturally know her ability. Tang Mo explained, "Her ability is like a worse version of mine. She can know other people's abilities and use them for a short time. Then the lights that popped out from her palm represents the abilities you have." Yes. No wonder why the beautiful woman had turned pale with fright. She couldn't understand why a person had so many abilities. Fu Wenduo spoke in a calm voice. Just now, the balls of light were divided into 4 colors. White, black, blue and a type of gold. These 4 colors might classify the strength of the ability or maybe the different types of abilities. Tang Mo knew this. The 4 colors represent different types of abilities. The abilities book that I just took out classified the 22 abilities I have into 4 types: genotype, dimensional, atomic and special. The 4 colors represent these 4 types. The woman's ability is a special type and mine is as well. Among the abilities I have, the fire-related abilities are atomic, the ability to move objects is dimensional and the ability to enhance intelligence is genotype. What is my ability? Tang Mo stopped speaking and looked at Fu Wenduo. In the dark night, the dense sycamore leaves moved in the wind. Fu Wenduo put his hands in his pocket and looked at Tang Mo calmly, a light smile on his face. He said this with a calm look, as if he were just asking. The deep eyes stared at Tang Mo and Tang Mo also quietly looked back at him. A moment later, Tang Mo looked away. "I don't know your ability very well. I only know that you can make a weapon. That's just part of it." Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo with surprise. Fu Wenduo raised his right hand between the two people. Tang Mo thought he wanted to turn his hand into the triangular-shaped black weapon. He didn't expect Fu Wenduo to grab his fingers and for silver to flash at his wrist. The next moment, the steel dot-like skin climbed from his wrist and quickly eroded all of the right hand. It took almost 2 seconds for his whole hand to become pure silver. Tang Mo's eyes widened with surprise and Fu Wenduo stretched out the silver right hand. "Touch it." Tang Mo obeyed. It was really steel. No, it could be another metal instead of steel. But this definitely wasn't human skin. "Your ability isn't just transformation into a black weapon but other things. Is it only your right hand?" The next second, Tang Mo saw Fu Wenduo's cheek flash silver and a piece of skin turned into metal. He watched with wide eyes before Fu Wenduo let the silver disappear. It took Tang Mo a few seconds to digest this face. Can you make any part of your body like this? He thought of the black weapon. Can you change the shape at will, not just become metal? I don't know. Tang Mo was slightly startled. Fu Wenduo said, just as you know that killing a person will give you abilities but you don't know another way to get them. I'm not sure what my ability is. So. Can you tell me? Just like how she knew your ability, can you tell me what my ability is? Tang Mo was startled before his expression became strange. Fu Wenduo took the initiative to let Tang Mo see his ability. On the one hand, he had an imperfect understanding of his ability and wanted to take this opportunity to understand it. On the other hand, he also needed to explain to Tang Mo. Tang Mo spoke about his own ability so Fu Wenduo couldn't hide his. This was a trust that needed to be given his teammates. However, Tang Mo's reaction interested him. This expression. Was there something about the beautiful woman's ability that made Tang Mo feel embarrassed? Fu Wenduo started thinking about it. Tang Mo previously felt there was a slight difference between his and Fu Wenduo's way of thinking. He preferred to gradually reason things out based on clues. All conclusions were based on facts and were reasonable guesses. However, Fu Wenduo was different. Whenever he thought about a problem, his good point was his bold or clever speculations. The bad point was that he could figure things out when given an opening. He could always tell the truth. Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Mo with no expression on his face but he already speculated something in his heart. There was a big restriction on Tang Mo using the woman's ability to view Fu Wenduo's ability. This restriction was a bit embarrassing for Tang Mo. What type of restriction would make Tang Mo look like this? Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Mo thoughtfully. He was preparing to ask when Tang Mo licked his lips and said, then I will look at your ability. Fu Wenduo sighed. Okay, Tang Mo reached out his hand. Hold out your hand. Fu Wenduo made a strange look before holding out his hand. Tang Mo held it, causing Fu Wenduo to become stunned. Tang Mo spoke calmly, her ability requires her to have physical contact with the other person for a certain period of time. That's why she touched my face, neck and hand, in order to achieve the conditions to use the ability. Fu Wenduo was silent for a moment. Okay. In the cold night, Fu Wenduo's hand was very hot. Tang Mo looked down at the two hands that were holding each other. There was a phrase in his mind. Young and vigorous. Tang Mo soon forgot such a strange idea. This ability, don't try to hide a dime, required physical contact with others. The more intimate the contact, the better the effect. But in fact, as long as there was physical contact, Tang Mo could know the other person's ability. It just required touching them for the right period of time. The face and neck were much more intimate than the hand, which was why the woman needed to touch him several times to know his ability. Now Tang Mo grabbed Fu Wenduo's hand. It wasn't a very intimate location but if he kept touching for twice or three times the length of time, wouldn't he be able to see Fu Wenduo's ability? He might be gay but Fu Wenduo wasn't. It was just a matter of touching his teammate to check the ability. He couldn't make a fuss or think too much. He didn't want to waste any more time so Tang Mo explained. If the other person's ability is very strong, the time required for physical contact will be longer. Let's get out of here first. Okay. The two men held hands and left the intersection. This neighborhood was a bustling commercial street in Nanjing where large shopping malls, cinemas and restaurants could be found on both sides of the street. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo held hands and walked down this street. At the beginning, there was nothing. After walking a while, Tang Mo started to feel strange, this was like a date. If Tang Mo was a woman and Fu Wenduo held hands with him, this would be a date. However, Tang Mo felt that two men holding hands was a date because he liked men. He could never date a woman, only a man. Tang Yamo cursed this woman's ability in his heart. This ability seemed very useful. It wasn't just understanding and using the enemy's ability. He could find a strong teammate and gain their ability before each battle, enhancing his combat effectiveness. But if he thought carefully, it wasn't that great. The more powerful the teammate, the longer it would take to acquire their ability. If Tang Yamo wanted to borrow Fu Wenduo's ability before the fight, could he get it immediately? This power was really trash. Time passed. Fu Wenduo calmly held Tang Mo's hand as they walked through the once prosperous commercial street. There was occasionally the sound of footsteps in the darkness, but the other people didn't dare come out. They saw Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo from afar and guessed the strength of both men, quietly leaving to avoid meeting. It had been 9 hours since the start of the garbage cleaning game and there were 3 hours left. Tang Mo found that the players had run away, not daring to collide with them. He mused, it seems that Nanjing players now know that killing can give badges. The players who came to Nanjing to participate in the game must be strong and very ambitious. They are most likely stowaways. Normal stowaways won't casually leave when meeting players. So they must be Nanjing players. Tang Yamo continued, there are 3 batches of rabbit heads left. Fu Wenduo said, we just need one more I and we will have 2 sets of letters. Just now, we got an I from the 2 Wuxi players. There are 2 possible explanations. First, there are very few I badges and the chances of getting them are very low. Second, killing a rabbit head won't give the I badge. These 2 players obtained the I badge from killing other players. We previously didn't kill players so we didn't get the I badge. Fu Wenduo raised an eyebrow. All the badges can only be gathered by killing. Fu Wenduo, what is the surprise? Tang Mo suddenly stopped walking. Fu Wenduo was still moving so his hand was suddenly pulled back. Fu Wenduo stopped and looked at Tang Mo. Tang Mo found that he was dragging Fu Wenduo and subconsciously wanted to let go. Fu Wenduo pulled back and tightened his grip. Tang Mo looked at him and Fu Wenduo smiled lightly. The time isn't up yet. Tang Mo. Yes, it isn't time. The 2 people continued to hold hands as Tang Mo said, the Black Tower shouldn't give killing can clear the game as the answer. There must be another way to clear this game. We can spell out surprise with the badge so it stands to reason that the surprise should be these badges. Putting the set of badges in the garbage disposal station is likely related to the yellow light suspended in front of the garbage disposal station. Put the badges in and you can clear the game. However, this certainly isn't the only way to pass the game. Fu Wenduo said, the surprise isn't the badges. Tang Mo's brain was running fast as he thought about it. The 5th rule is that putting your surprise into the garbage disposal station can clear the game. The surprise isn't the badge. The Black Tower didn't say to put your surprise badges into the garbage disposal station. Tang Mo wondered, what is the surprise? Fu Wenduo looked at him and didn't answer. They kept walking as they thought about the problem. They couldn't determine what the surprise was based on the messages given by the Black Tower. There was only one possibility, which was that the wooden badges were the surprise. This seemed to be the answer given by the Black Tower. But what if the wooden badges weren't the surprise? For all the players in Nanjing and the other 9 districts, this garbage cleaning game is the Black Tower giving them a surprise. Tang Mo thought that the Black Tower's surprise would be a special prop or something else that was special. Now he heard Fu Wenduo's words and raised his head. Fu Wenduo was looking at him. The 2 people's eyes met and they didn't speak, but they understood each other's meaning at the same time. Tang Mo said, everything in the world can be called a surprise. Yes, so we have to guess what the Black Tower's surprise is. What type of surprise does the garbage disposal station need? Tang Mo was preparing to speak when a familiar rhyme was suddenly heard over Nanjing. Tang Mo turned his head quickly and looked at the huge Black Tower. The cheerful, the painter echoed in Nanjing, causing countless players to stop and look at the tower. Once the song was finished, there was a clear child's voice with a hint of gloating in the tone. Ding dong! China District 6's official player Fu Wensheng has successfully cleared the last person's garbage cleaning game. The first one to clear the game will get the reward of garbage's gaze. All garbage who see the player can't help looking at him. This effect will last for 3 seconds. Tremble garbage, this is the contempt of the winner. The Black Tower's words finished. Tang Mo was stunned and looked at Fu Wenduo. Sure enough, Fu Wenduo had a completely dark expression as he stared coldly at the Black Tower. The next second, Fu Wenduo pulled Tang Mo's hand and ran forward. Go! The two people turned into a flash of lightning as they disappeared from the street. The author has something to say. Tang. Fu Wenduo is very hot, young and vigorous. Old Fu. Yes, I am very hot. Blooded, smiley face, where do you want to touch to get my ability? Tang, shameless. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 96. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the dark night, two black figures rushed through Nanjing at an extremely fast speed. Tang Mo didn't expect that Fu Wensheng would be the first player in Nanjing to clear the garbage cleaning game. He didn't expect the Black Tower to announce the first person who cleared it and to give the extremely dirty garbage's gaze effect. This effect was called a reward, but it was actually the biggest threat in this instance. We have to hurry. He has just cleared the game and must be in the vicinity of garbage disposal station. Tang Mo spoke as he ran rapidly. Any garbage disposal station will have players waiting nearby for an ambush. There were 3 hours left in the game and 3 batches of rabbit heads. Most players might not be ready to steal badges at the garbage disposal station, but the stowaways should be there. Yes. Fu Wenduo looked at the traffic signs on the road, turned a corner and headed for Zinjiku. The garbage's gaze meant that every player who saw Fu Wensheng would stare at him for 3 seconds. This meant that if Fu Wensheng appeared in front of players, they only needed one glance to know which one was Fu Wensheng. Now all the players in Nanjing wanted to find him or catch him to know the way to get through the game. The Nanjing group could deter local players, but players from other areas wouldn't have any respect for this organization. Fu Wenduo increased his speed and Tang Mo also moved faster. The two of them almost turned into rays of light as they moved through the high-rise buildings. They were getting closer to the Black Tower and Tang Mo could see a strange house in the distance. He narrowed his eyes when he saw the situation of the garbage disposal station in Zinjiku. The two men stopped and looked around. There wasn't a single person around. In the cold night wind, the sycamore leaves rustled. Tang Mo walked to the garbage disposal station and walked around. He looked around the intersection. Fu Wenduo squatted and touched a dark brown trace on the ground. Tang Mo immediately went over. Fu Wenduo confirmed it. It is blood. However, it has been dried for at least 1 hour. Tang Mo looked around and found similar dark red marks on the road. The traces were scattered around the rice disposal station and there were more red markings close to it. Once the distance to the house was less than 5 meters, these traces became less and less with only a few scattered red blood marks. Tang Mo said, "We came over at the fastest speed after hearing the Black Tower's announcement. It took less than 10 minutes. They shouldn't have passed the game at this garbage disposal station. Let's go somewhere else and check the garbage disposal stations nearby." Fu Wenduo nodded and pulled Tang Mo's hand as he moved forward. The two of them moved through the night in a hurry, anxious to find their younger cousin. Tang Mo's foot stepped on a dark brown trace. The pool of blood wasn't completely dry and the blood stuck to his soles. Tang Mo calmly walked forward with Fu Wenduo. The two of them were just about to leave the intersection when a sound came from behind Tang Mo. It was followed by a loud gunshot. Bang! Bullets pierced through the air and headed towards Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's head. Just as the bullets were about to hit Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo, a lacy parasol suddenly opened and blocked the rear of Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. The bullet slammed into the small parasol and fell to the ground. Tang Yamo constantly moved the small parasol to block the dense rain of bullets. On the other side, Fu Wenduo made a cold expression and pulled out a silver gun. Bang! 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 Fu Wenduo's head and eyes emerged from the small parasol. He shot towards 3 skyscrapers on both sides of the intersection without hesitation. The glass broke and 2 screams rang from the building. The third person didn't make a sound at all. The bullet penetrated his head and he fell straight down. 3 shots rang out and the gunshots and hidden weapons suddenly stopped. Tang Yamo looked around indifferently. There were no lights in the buildings surrounding the intersection and an unknown number of players was hiding behind the dark windows. There was a cold silence and after a few seconds, Tang Yamo closed the umbrella and ignored the people hiding in the darkness. He and Fu Wenduo completely left the garbage disposal station. The 2 men found an abandoned shop. After leaning against a wall and confirming there were no players around, Tang Yamo took a breath and turned to Fu Wenduo. Nanjing has 11 districts and 11 garbage disposal stations. Xiao Jitong said they would return to the garbage disposal station near Xinjiku but they aren't here now. Maybe they encountered trouble in the middle. Fu Wenduo said, there are still 3 hours left. According to Xiao Jitong's character, he knows that every garbage disposal station has been surrounded by players and he won't return here until the last hour. He should be nearby now. On the way back to the Xinjiku garbage disposal station, Fu Wenqing coincidentally cleared the game so Xiao Jitong should be delayed. Tang Yamo fell into deep thought and pulled the chicken nest out of his pocket. He took out a white egg and turned it. There was a flash of white light and a complete map of Nanjing appeared in Tang Mo's palm. Tang Yamo carefully looked at the Nanjing map. They must be in the old city district right now, which are these areas. He used his hand to draw a triangular area. There are 5 districts nearby and 5 garbage disposal stations. There were a total of 5 garbage disposal stations. In the end, which one did Fu Wenqing use to clear the game? Tang Yamo looked up at Fu Wenduo and in the darkness, Fu Wenduo gazed back at him. Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice. The Trojan horse. 5 minutes later, Nanjing's Qinhuai district. A small horse advanced on the street. It was the size of an adult's palm and the speed of its advance wasn't fast or slow, it was similar to an adult's walking speed. It looked no different from an ordinary toy horse but when moonlight shone on it, there unexpectedly wasn't a shadow. It seemed to be hidden as it turned a corner, headed east for a kilometer and turning onto another path. In the darkness, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo quietly followed the wooden horse and walked a kilometer away. The small horse turned onto a spacious road. Then Fu Wenduo grabbed it and placed the small horse into his pocket. Tang Yamo opened the map and determined the real location. It is in Xuanwu district. The Trojan horse acted as a messenger. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo could follow behind this horse and find Fu Wenqing's location. It was just that this horse moved too slowly. It took 1 hour to travel 5 kilometers. Nanjing's old city was very big and Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo couldn't really use this small horse to find Fu Wenqing. Therefore, they used it to rule out the wrong disposal stations and headed in the right direction. The 2 people moved through tall buildings and soon came to Xuanwu Lake Park. 4 hours ago, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo had gone to the Xuanwu district and confirmed that the garbage disposal station was at Xuanwu Lake Park. A breeze blew on the wide and flat surface of the lake. The center of the lake had a small artificial island with green trees. Tang Yamo followed the bridge to the small island and reached the small house in the center. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo stepped on the island with calm and seemingly casual expressions. However, they never relaxed their vigilance. Tang Mo was always staring at the surroundings from the corner of his eyes, and he looked down at the soil in front of the garbage disposal station. Tang Mo grabbed a handful of soil and pinched with his fingers. It is wet. He looked at his fingers again. It is also red. Fu Wenduo started sniffing. There was no need for him to say it. Even Tang Mo could smell the bloody smell in the air. The thick scent of blood was blown by the lake's wind and didn't disperse for a long time. The soil of the small island was stained red and was wet. It was March and the soil shouldn't be this soft. It was normally hard in cold weather. Yet this soil was soft. It was soft because of blood. There had been a fierce battle here and many people died. The earth was heavy and dark due to the blood it absorbed. The two people examined the area and didn't find anyone. The two men looked at each other in silence and nodded before turning away from the island. On the quiet island, the leaves were blown by the wind. Tang Mo quietly left the garbage disposal station. He had just stepped on the bridge when he suddenly stopped and his right hand moved back. A dart was fired from Tang Mo's hand towards the ground. Meanwhile, a dagger appeared in Fu Wenduo's hands. The silver dagger gently cut a large tree on the edge of the island. It was just a light strike, but the thick trunk fell to the ground with a loud sound. Fu Wenduo cut 4 trees at a very fast rate. He had just struck the 5th one when there was a thunderous sound from the ground. The next moment, a slender figure emerged from the earth, followed by 2 more figures. Whoosh! A silver arrow went through the tree that was about to fall and flew past Tang Mo's cheek. Tang Mo moved sideways and let Fu Wenduo snatch the long arrow. Tang Mo shifted his gaze towards the person. The two sides were startled and they clearly saw each other's faces. Ning Ning. Tang Mo, Fu Wenduo. The young woman holding a silver crossbow was Ning Ning. Tang Mo looked at the tense Ning Ning and was about to ask about Fu Wensheng's whereabouts. At this time, a small shadow appeared. The next second, Tang Mo looked down at the little boy who just emerged from the ground. Fu Wenduo also shifted his gaze at the sudden appearance of the little boy. The two of them watched Fu Wensheng's body for a few seconds before moving. Fu Wensheng hadn't expected the people to rush to the island to actually be Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. He had been hiding in the ground and couldn't hear anything above him. Fu Wensheng sighed with relief when he confirmed it was his older cousin. He went forward, "Big brother." His voice abruptly stopped and his eyes widened as he saw Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo holding hands. Fu Wensheng looked at the two hands with astonishment and then looked between Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo. Tang Mo directly released his grip. Fu Wenduo looked at him. Tang Mo said calmly, "It is estimated that the next 3 hours will become more troublesome. We can try again after the game is over." Fu Wenduo didn't express any objections. Fu Wensheng didn't think too much when he saw his older cousin and Tang Mo release their hands. He thought they were holding hands for some reason. The child guessed that these two people needed to hold hands in order to use a certain prop, for example, a prop that had revealed his location under the ground. Xiao Jitong also climbed out and smiled helplessly when he saw Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. "It really is you. People who can find us in the soil and directly attack, it should only be you two." Tang Mo said, "The most dangerous place is also the safest place. We came here very quickly. It took around 30 minutes. The blood on the ground indicates that a great battle took place here and you shouldn't have gone far. The soil on the island is closer to water and it is softer than the soil in other places. It is normal to be soft after being soaked with blood, but this is too soft. It is because you turned it over." Xiao Jitong laughed. "Just because of this." Fu Wenduo spoke lightly, "There is no blood on the bridge outside. If it was a fierce battle, it was impossible for the winners to not be injured. In order to leave the island, they must walk over the bridge, unless they swam. The island was bloody but the bridge was clean. This wasn't possible unless the winners didn't leave the island at all. They were still hiding on the island. Xiao Jitong's smile stiffened for a moment before he sighed. I was too negligent. The two sides met so Tang Yamo got straight to the point. How did Fu Wenxing clear the game? Xiao Jitong didn't answer directly. He first let Ningning and several members of the Nanjing group leave to rest and recovery from their injuries. Tang Mo's eyes stopped on a blood-soaked man. He stared intently and exclaimed, Chai Rong. The members of the Nanjing group were carrying an unconscious Chai Rong. They gently placed him on the ground, taking out a bottle of mineral water and pouring it on his wounds. However, his injuries were too serious. His whole body was wounded and there was a terrible injury from his left chest to his right abdomen. His internal organs were almost exposed to the air. Chai Rong could survive this type of injury and not die on the spot. If it was Xiao Jitong, he wouldn't live for a second. Xiao Jitong's expression sank after hearing Chai Rong's name. His voice was cold. Half an hour ago, we met a few stowaway groups on this island. They were very powerful and most of them weren't from Nanjing. Of course, there were some Nanjing players following them. We were ambushed by them when we went to the island. Later, Xiao Sheng was accidentally pushed into the garbage disposal station and forced to clear the game. Tang Yamo asked, how did he pass the game? Xiao Jitong replied, he collected badges. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. Xiao Jitong said, the sixth rule of the game states that each player can only enter the garbage disposal station once. As we guessed, the garbage disposal station doesn't have a door and is a flat plane. All players who get within a certain range is considered to have entered the garbage disposal station. Tang Yamo thought of the scene he saw in Zinjiku. The range is 5 meters. Xiao Jitong stared at him, yes, it is 5 meters. Xiao Sheng entered the garbage disposal station and wasted his one chance. He must clear the game to get out. Therefore, we handed him a set of surprise wooden badges. He put the 8 badges into the yellow light at the entrance of the garbage disposal station. Xiao Jitong pointed to the yellow light in front of the house. Then he cleared the game. You heard what happened next. Fu Wenduo asked, were the stowaways who ambushed you very strong? Xiao Jitong replied, they are strong but not that strong. We have Chai Rong and Ningning. If you add Xiao Qiao and the members of the Nanjing group, we successfully broke through those who ambushed us here. Tang Yamo wondered, then why? Why did Chai Rong suffer such a heavy injury? The other members of the Nanjing group were also seriously injured. Xiao Jitong was suddenly silent. He looked around at the vast expanse of water around the island and smiled slightly. How many bodies do you think is lying in this lake? They are the bodies we pushed down the sake of hiding. Tang Yamo thought about it. 20 people. Then he thought about the blood that softened the earth and gave another answer. 50 people. Fu Wenduo spoke in a low voice. This much blood, it is at least 100 people. The author has something to say. Xiao Fu. 0 Big brother, sister. In law, you. What are you doing? Tang Tang hurriedly removes his hand. No, don't misunderstand. Old Fu. You didn't misunderstand, smiley face, Xiao Fu. Acting as if he understands, added a ko.fi for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 97. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the icy black Xuanwu Lake, more than 100 silent human figures lay at the bottom of the lake, gradually falling into the mud at the bottom of the lake. The night breeze blew across the lake, causing ripples. No one could imagine that there were 100 people under the lake. Tang Yamo stood by the lake and stared at it, not able to see the bottom. He retracted his gaze. Xiao Jitong stated, Mr. Fu guessed right. There are around 102 people under the lake. 4 of them are Nanjing players while the remaining 98 are stowaways and other Nanjing players. An hour ago, our strategy group and Nanjing group met at the gate of the park. After a pause, he added, I arranged it. We split 2 ways. One team went to the west to check the garbage disposal stations while the other team went to the east. We finally gathered here to head to the Zinjiku garbage disposal station. It is because there will certainly be a fierce fight. It is natural for someone to be ambushing near every garbage disposal station. Tang Yimo talked about what he and Fu Wen duo encountered at Zinjiku. There were at least 50 people waiting in the high buildings near the garbage disposal station. There were 50 or 60 people who fired at us. Xiao Jitong said, that's why we arranged to meet in advance. I didn't think that when we came to Xuanwu Lake to inspect the last garbage disposal station, there would already be 3 teams of stowaways waiting to ambush here. If we encountered normal stowaways, they wouldn't rush towards us when they saw we had more people. But these stowaways were different. They came from the same city and seemed to know each other for a long time. It is a huge organization. So we fought with them here. Xiao Jitong gestured to the approximate area. On this island, there were 29 stowaways and we have 22 people. They were strong but we had the upper hand. Fu Wenqing clearing the game was completely an accident. Without the garbage's gaze, the 2 groups would safely leave here after defeating the stowaways. However, that didn't happen. Once the Black Tower notified everyone of Fu Wenqing clearing the game, more than 60% of the stowaways in Nanjing started to look for him. The stowaways found him in the vicinity of Xuanwu district. Then there was a fierce battle in the darkness. Tang Yimo stood on the soft soil and imagined the type of fighting that happened here half an hour ago. In any case, the result of the battle was that the Nanjing group lost 4 elites and more than 90 players were forever buried at the bottom of the lake. Tang Yimo closed his eyes and thought, you just said that it isn't only stowaways, but also players in Nanjing. Why did they attack you? There are no benefits for them. Xiao Jitong listened to Tang Mo's words and smiled. Tang Yimo looked at his expression and stayed silent. He was aware of what happened. After a moment, he asked, how many badges have you collected now? Xiao Jitong replied, we have a total of 156 badges. Excluding the set that Xiao Xing used, we only have 8 complete sets. Tang Yimo was silent and no longer spoke. The stowaways attacked the members of the Nanjing group because they just experienced a battle and were injured. The stowaways wanted to catch Fu Wenqing and ask him the correct way to clear the game. At the same time, killing the members of the Nanjing group would get their badges. They killed countless people in Nanjing. In their hearts, the players in Nanjing had a low level and the stowaways didn't take the Nanjing players seriously. This was the reason why the stowaways attacked the Nanjing group. What about the other players in Nanjing? Tang Yimo looked behind Xiao Jitong. The young woman always with Chai Rong had a cold expression and was walking around healing her teammates. On the narrow island, the Nanjing group and strategy group players lay quietly on the ground, most of them seriously injured. Killing them could get a lot of badges. There were only 3 hours left until the end of the game, so why not take a chance if they didn't have a full set of badges? There were many people attacking the Nanjing group. They just needed to follow the crowd and steal the badges, this wasn't a big deal. It was the only opportunity for ordinary Nanjing players. They alone couldn't beat the Nanjing group. There was only the slightest hope with the stowaways. Xiao Jitong didn't talk about this matter and Xiao Jitong didn't ask again. Fu Wenduo looked down at his cousin. Look for a place to hide. Don't appear again for the next 3 hours. Fu Wenqing nodded. He had been planning to do the same thing. A minute later, the Black Tower's clear voice was heard again. The third last batch of rabbit heads appeared. Tang Yimo looked at Xiao Jitong and said, you have gathered 8 sets of surprise but you have a total of 18 people. You need 10 more sets. We have one set of surprise. Let's meet up 2 hours later at the Zinjiku garbage disposal station. Xiao Jitong smiled and nodded. Okay. Tang Yamo was about to leave when a voice was suddenly heard. Tang Yamo, is the surprise really the badge? Tang Yamo paused and he turned to look at Xiao Jitong. It was very dark and Xiao Jitong was standing under the shade of a tree, making people unable to see his face. Tang Yamo vaguely felt that he was smiling, but smiling in this situation was abnormal. Tang Yamo thought about it and asked, "What do you think it is?" "I don't know." "I don't know either." In the darkness, the two people looked at each other. 3 seconds later, Tang Yamo turned and left. Fu Wensheng followed his brother and quickly walked away. The Nanjing group members were injured and unable to take care of Fu Wensheng. Thus, Fu Wenduo took him away from Xuanwu Lake Park towards an old-fashioned community. He checked closely and placed the child in a house without any people. Fu Wenduo spoke coldly, "Before the game is over, don't come out. Wait for me to come to you." Fu Wensheng nodded. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo still had one eye badge to collect. They settled Fu Wensheng and left the community. The child stood at the window and watched Fu Wenduo and Tang Yamo leave. After confirming that the two people left through the door of the community, Fu Wensheng walked into the house, locked all the doors and windows and pulled down the curtain. He sat on the couch, nervously watching the ground before his body started to tremble. A minute later, a crying voice filled the room. The 12-year-old boy finally couldn't help crying. He cried for a few minutes before wiping his tears. He closed his eyes and seemed to return to an hour ago. At that time, countless players attacked the island. They wanted to catch him, not just to learn about clearing the game from his mouth. What they really wanted was badges. It took only one reason for a fierce battle to start. Fu Wensheng knew all these things. Nanjing was very stable, but the world outside wasn't peaceful. Killing was normal and it was inevitable that familiar teammates would die before his eyes. However, he still owes us props. The hoarse and uncomfortable voice echoed in the room. 5 minutes later, Fu Wensheng wiped all his tears and took out his props in preparation for someone attacking. He walked coldly into the kitchen and took a few knives. Then he returned to the living room and calmly lay traps. If someone really found him here, then he could escape. At the same time, Xuanwu Lake Park. Chai Rong's injury was heavy, but his physical fitness was amazing. He woke up earlier than the other 3 members of the Nanjing group who were seriously injured. Once he woke up, he headed to the members still left in the park. Xiao Jitong said, "There is a garbage disposal station here and it is very dangerous. Now that a new batch of rabbit heads will appear, we will kill the rabbit heads for the badge. The wounded people will find places to hide while the rest will go with me to find the badges." Chai Rong's eyes widened and he asked, "You want me to find a place to hide?" Xiao Jitong glanced at him and smiled, "Why not? Captain Chai, it will be completely stupid for you to fight with us with your wounded body." Chai Rong wanted to refute it, but Xiao Jitong was telling the truth. He suppressed his feelings and said, "I will regain my combat effectiveness soon." "Will 2 hours be considered soon?" Chai Rong shouted, "You." Xiao Jitong placed a hand on his shoulder. "Okay, we will wait for you in Zinjiku in 2 hours. Those who are injured need to quickly find a place to hide and not bother us. Xiao Qiao, go with them. We will use a prop to communicate. Wait for Chai Rong to regain his fighting power. Then bring him over with Lin Rong." The blonde boy nodded repeatedly. Chai Rong wanted to say something else, but the people Xiao Jitong arranged dragged him away. There were 4 members of the Nanjing group who couldn't continue due to their injuries. Xiao Jitong divided the remaining 12 people into 2 groups to look for the badges separately. As they were leaving the island, a member of the Nanjing group couldn't help saying, "Captain Xiao, earlier we were in a hurry and pushed old Li's body and the others into the water. Let's pull them out. We can at least dig a hole and bury them well. Xiao Jitong turned around and asked, do we have time? The member was stunned. Xiao Jitong gave a cold smile. I didn't agree with Chai Rong's thoughts a long time ago, but he was strong enough to hold everything. Now the dead is dead. Is there a difference between the water or the earth? The members of the Nanjing group were stunned. How do you? Is there a difference? Xiao Jitong's cold voice caused everyone to close their mouths. Ningning held the crossbow and looked at the other people coldly. Xiao Jitong's gaze swept through the surviving players. Finally he said, they didn't want to be buried in dirt. For them, they are dead. There is no distinction between lying in the dirt or in the water. Even if you bury them well, they are still dead. Their deaths are telling Captain Chai. Does he think he is the Black Tower that he can control Nanjing? Xiao Jitong hadn't said too much when Chai Rong was here. The Nanjing members who listened to him wanted to defend their captain, but they couldn't say a word. How stupid was Chai Rong? From the moment they met, Xiao Jitong told everyone, Captain Chai of the Nanjing team is stupid and can only fight. The stupidest thing that this man did was to be self-righteous and shelter everyone in this city for 3 months. Dark clouds blocked the vast sky. Xiao Jitong stood in the cold wind and looked at the group of most powerful players in Nanjing. 3 months ago, the strong reserve was full of enthusiasm and wanted to protect the city with their own strength. 3 months later, the people sheltered by him mixed in with the stowaways and attacked him in order to snatch his badges. Xiao Jitong closed his eyes and his lips slowly curved. He opened his mouth again, only he was scolding himself, not Chai Rong. He isn't stupid, I'm stupid. After Fu Wensheng passed the game, the atmosphere in Nanjing became more explosive. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo encountered 4 players while trying to obtain badges. The rabbit heads had increased in strength and they ran extremely fast. It is easier to get badges from players than the rabbit heads. Tang Yamo found an abandoned electrical store to stay in and looked at Fu Wenduo. Everyone has already discovered this fact. If we encounter players, they probably don't want to steal badges. They want to kill us and then take our badges. Fu Wenduo spoke up. Xiao Jitong said that the badges can be obtained from rabbit heads, but the probability is very low. Tang Yamo pondered on it and was about to speak when there was a loud sound not far away. The 2 men immediately turned to look. They saw that a rabbit head had accidentally hit a wall and fell to the ground. It was dizzy as it got up and then its eyes fell on Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. The rabbit head screamed, Gigi. Go. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo immediately attacked. The sound of fierce fighting was heard from every corner of Nanjing. Similarly, in the other 9 game areas of China, blood stained the earth and bodies lying on the road lost their temperature. The players who killed them walked over and took away the collected badges and the new badge that fell with their deaths, before embarking on a journey to collect the badges again. In 2 hours, the last batch of rabbit heads appeared. Tang Yamo killed a female player trying to ambush him outside the store. He stepped forward and took out 6 badges from the other person's pocket. Tang Yamo saw the letter on the second badge and was slightly stunned. He turned to look at Fu Wenduo and waved the badge with a smile. It is an I. Fu Wenduo looked at the letter on the badge and smiled. There is less than an hour left. Tang Yamo said, yes, there is less than an hour left. Come on, it is time to meet up with Xiao Jitong. Zinjiku, Nanjing. The Trojan horse could only be used once every 3 days. This time, Tang Yamo couldn't use the horse to find Xiao Jitong. In the night, the 2 people quickly walked into a shopping mall. Tang Yamo entered the cosmetics counter in the shopping mall. He explored the counter and touched something 1 minute later. Tang Yamo said, Xiao Jitong's group has already arrived. They are on the 2nd floor. Tang Mo released his hand and saw that he had just been touching two curved pentagrams. The two people entered the fire stairs and hurriedly walked to the second floor. As they walked up the stairs, Fu Wenduo knocked on the wall 3 times. 3 knocks came from the other side of the fire stairs and Tang Mo pushed the door open. Xiao Jitong and the others were already waiting inside. Xiao Jitong saw Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo and asked, "How is Xiao Sheng?" Fu Wenduo replied, "He is in a safe place. I'll find him after the game is over." Xiao Jitong heard this and smiled, "You have gathered the badges." Tang Mo didn't deny it and asked in return, "What about you?" If they merely killed the rabbit heads, it would be impossible to gather 10 badges. Tang Mo admitted that his luck was poor. He and Fu Wenduo had gathered badges for 11 hours and only collected 2 badges. Perhaps it was due to Fu Wenduo's luck that they could even find 2 badges. But Xiao Jitong's luck wasn't that good. 2 hours ago, they only had 8 badges. Xiao Jitong said, "We have them all. There is even an extra set." The answer was unexpected. The surprised Tang Mo asked, "You collected all of them?" Xiao Jitong smiled and nodded. Tang Mo's lip opened as he guessed what happened. He turned to look at Fu Wenduo and Fu Wenduo was looking back at him. The two people were silent as they both guessed how Xiao Jitong had found 11 badges in 2 hours. In any case, things had developed like this and they all had a full set of surprise badges. Fu Wenxing cleared the game so they knew that putting the surprise badges into the yellow light at the door of the garbage disposal station would definitely pass the game. The top priority was, "How do we get in?" Tang Mo asked. Xiao Jitong opened a huge map of Nanjing. Tang Mo looked intently and found that the map was very meticulous. Every street near Zinjiku was drawn, the height of each building was even marked as well as the distance between buildings. In the middle of a crossing road was a red pentagram, which was the location of the Qinhuai District garbage disposal station. Xiao Jitong pointed to the map. "I chose this place because Ningning and I often go to the Black Tower, so it is the area we are most familiar with. There is no doubt that among Nanjing's 11 garbage disposal stations, the place with the most players waiting to ambush is the Qinhuai district next to Zinjiku. It was the place with the largest flow of people in Nanjing before the Earth went online. At the same time, this is the place we are most familiar with." Rather than facing less enemies, Xiao Jitong chose to believe in himself. His group's strength was more important than the strength of the enemy. "Here, here, and here." Xiao Jitong pointed to 7 places. "They are the easiest locations for an ambush. This office building is located 150 meters away from the garbage disposal station. If they ambush from the 20th floor of this building." Xiao Jitong quickly found 3 of the most reasonable spots. "The last hour will be a fierce battle." Xiao Jitong said, "After 1 hour, people will no longer be able to enter the garbage disposal station and would be forced into the hard mode of the tower attack game. Players from all over the city will gather here because they will have to enter the garbage disposal station. There is still the last batch of rabbit heads but they don't matter. Killing players is the easiest way to grab a badge. In the last 10 minutes, the players waiting in ambush will rush in the garbage disposal station. We can't wait until then. The situation will be chaotic and it will be more difficult to enter the garbage disposal station." Tang Mo pointed to the west road. "We will enter from this side." Xiao Jitong looked at him and nodded. "Okay, Ningning and I will go from the middle road while Chai Rong and the Nanjing group will enter from the east road. 3 teams entering at the same time can distract their attention and disperse their strength." Tang Mo wasn't very good at this aspect. He looked at Fu Wenduo and asked directly, "What should we do?" Xiao Jitong only just remembered Fu Wenduo's identity. None of the people present were more qualified than Fu Wenduo to express an opinion on the group battle plan. Fu Wenduo looked down at the whole map. His gaze rested on every marked point on the map, looking at the height and distance of each building in detail. Finally, his eyes fell on a tall building in the far north. He spoke in a calm voice, "This building is the tallest. From the upstairs, you can completely look down at the entire garbage disposal station. This location is very suitable for a ranged attack. Among all the buildings, this place is likely to have the most number of players waiting to ambush." Fu Wenduo's fingers slid over 3 buildings near the garbage disposal station. These 3 places are very close to the building. If you want to climb to the top of the building in the north, you can go from the first building to the second building and finally the third building. The 3 of us are coming from the south, east and west, leaving only the north alone. This building must have a lot of players ambushing, so we can't go from the north. Then before we enter the garbage disposal station, we must blow up this building. Tang Mo was stunned, but he quickly understood Fu Wenduo's meaning. A diversion. Fu Wenduo smiled. "To be exact, it is making a noise in the north to attack in the south, east and west." Tang Mo was busy thinking about the feasibility of this plan and didn't notice that Fu Wenduo had once again made a cold joke. Fu Wenduo didn't care and just raised an eyebrow. Tang Mo soon said, "Yes. These 3 buildings can be used as a springboard to blow up the building in the north. Most players waiting to ambush will have some strength and won't die. However, they will think we are coming from the north and everyone will head to the north. At this time, we will immediately rush from the other 3 directions." Xiao Jitong agreed. "Okay, Xiao Qiao has a massive explosion prop." The blonde boy hurriedly took out a bowl of spaghetti and handed it to Xiao Jitong. "Captain." Xiao Jitong took the spaghetti and looked at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. "There is only one problem. Who will go?" "I'll go." 4 people spoke at the same time. Ningning and Chai Rong looked at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, while Xiao Jitong also narrowed his eyes. He said, "You 2 are powerful. There is no problem for you to go by the west road alone. But if one of you goes to blow up the building, there will be only one person left on the west side. It isn't appropriate. Let Ningning go. She is very fast. Once she uses the prop to blow up the building, she can escape." Chai Rong said, "I am also fast and very strong. Ningning won't be able to escape if she is surrounded by people." Ningning stated coldly, "I can escape." Chai Rong asked, "Ningning, did you forget how I won when we fought last month?" A trace of anger flashed on Ningning's cold face. She scoffed and decided not to pay attention to this male. Xiao Jitong said, "Then let Chai Rong go." "No, I'll go." Xiao Jitong looked with confusion at Tang Mo. Tang Mo explained, "I'm not sure if my speed is faster than Ningning and my strength isn't higher than Captain Chai. But that I have a prop. This prop allows me to ignore gravity and freely walk on any plane." Xiao Jitong's eyes widened and he immediately understood. Then he had a thought, "But if you go, there is only one person on the west road." Tang Mo explained, "I need a minute to blow up that building." He can hold on for that long. Fu Wenduo was standing behind Tang Mo. Once he heard this, he looked into the young man's eyes. He didn't say anything yet Tang Mo decided everything for him. This feeling was a bit interesting. Fu Wenduo's lips curved and he didn't say anything. Thus, it was decided. Xiao Jitong shared the Nanjing Strategy Group's props with everyone and finally decided on a combat plan. He brought the spaghetti to Tang Mo and looked at him seriously, "Survive. I will give this to you." Tang Mo looked at the function of the prop before putting it in his pocket. Prop. A bowl of spaghetti with a dog's head on the side, owner. Edward George, quality. Excellent, level 1, attack. Strong, function. Throw this bowl of spaghetti and there will be an explosion. The power of the explosion is equivalent to an Italian 1897 style 75mm cannon. Restrictions. Disposable item. Remark. Someone once forgot to add a dog's head. Then he ate the spaghetti and killed himself. After taking the spaghetti, the Tang Mo duo separated from the others and headed to the alley behind the mall. The mall was located to the south of the garbage disposal station. Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo first went to the east, then Tang Mo headed towards the tallest building in the north. Tang Mo watched it while Fu Wen duo went to the hidden point, ready to attack. Tang Mo observed the distance between the three high-rise buildings and prepared to depart. He was about to leave when a hand suddenly grabbed his left wrist. Tang Mo turned with an astonished expression. Fu Wen duo held his wrist and pulled him back. At the same time, his other hand reached into Tang Mo's right pocket and took out the bowl of spaghetti. Tang Mo asked, Fu Wen duo. Fu Wen duo looked at Tang Mo with a deep gaze. You aren't the only one with the shoes. I will blow it up so you wait here to attack. Tang Mo frowned. He wanted to go because apart from his shoes, he felt he could resolve a variety of unexpected situations with his abilities. The person left behind needed to endure for 1 minute and wait for the other person to come back. Fu Wen duo was very powerful and the most dangerous part of the plan was to blow up the building. However, based on individual combat capability, he was obviously far better than Tang Mo. Many thoughts flashed in Tang Mo's heart. He didn't speak as he listened to a low male voice say, 1 minute, can't you endure? Tang Mo looked up at Fu Wen duo with surprise. I'll come back soon. Fu Wen duo paused before taking out a gun and handing it over. I will give this to you. Don't worry. There are many people waiting to ambush here. Tang Mo looked at the gun for a moment. There were many people waiting to ambush here. Thus, Tang Mo could hit someone with the gun. The next moment, Tang Mo's eyelids twitched. He grabbed the gun. Okay, go quickly and try to come back early. Tang Mo took the gun and walked away. Fu Wen duo looked at his decisive figure and raised a brow. He smiled before his figure disappeared into the darkness, heading towards the tallest building in the north. 5 minutes later, 4:50 a.m. on March 6. There was a violent explosion and the ground shook. Flames could be seen. In Zinjiku, Nanjing, many players hiding in the darkness stood up in horror, looking at the skyscraper in the north. Countless panicked players were escaping from that building. They screamed and jumped from upstairs. At this time, someone shouted, "Fuck, it is that man." The group looked up and saw a black figure jumping off the rooftop onto the roof of the building next door. An intense explosion rang through the entire Zinjiku business district. The players near the explosion point saw the situation and rushed angrily at the man who blew up the high building. The people lying in ambush rushed to the north, wanting to catch fish in troubled waters. At the same time, 3 teams rushed out from the south, east and west towards the central garbage disposal station. By the time someone spotted the sneak attack from 3 sides, Xiao Jitong rushed from the south and had already reached the central garbage disposal station. Ningning rushed straight to the light, placing 8 badges into the light in front of the garbage disposal station. Someone shouted, "Damn! People are coming here." The players rushing to the north quickly ran back. Tang Mo didn't have Ningning's good luck. He had just gone halfway when the players waiting in the north found him. No one expected that there weren't many players ambushing in the west, but due to the wide open view, they could completely see the scene in the north. When Fu Wen duo jumped down, they found that there was only 1 player. Less than half the players were attracted by the explosion and the rest remained behind. Whoosh! A small arrow flew through the air. Tang Mo bent over to avoid this arrow, followed by dense gunfire. Tang Mo's face darkened and he swore, "What happened?" He opened the small parasol and blocked the terrible rain of bullets. However, countless props headed towards him. Tang Mo had to constantly wave the small parasol to block all types of attacks while trying to find a place to hide. A minute quickly passed. Tang Mo was still on the defensive and a strange and reasonable idea flashed through his heart. Fu Wenduo was a bastard liar. The author has something to say. Tang Tang. You said you would definitely come back in a minute. Damn. Old Fu. I like it when you call me a liar, ambiguous smile, Tang Tang. Fu Wensheng, bring me my spaghetti. Xiao Fu. Why is it me? Added AKO.fi for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 98. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sound of fierce collisions continued to be heard from the crossroads. Tang Mo and the others exploded the building in the north to attract attention, but once they officially attacked the garbage disposal station, many players waiting for a long time swarmed. It had been over 5 months since the Earth went online and many players experienced the brutal Black Tower games and weren't too naive. Most people thought that someone would ambush in the vicinity of the garbage disposal station because everyone had to go there to complete the game. However, knowing was one thing. Only players with a certain amount of strength would dare to ambush. Thus, the players were divided into 2 groups. One group lay in ambush while the other group fearfully moved in the surroundings, wanting to attack. The 2 forces had formed a balance before Fu Wenduo acted. Once someone broke the balance, the timid players would swarm, just like the incident with the Nanjing group. Hundreds of players flocked to the garbage disposal station at the same time. Tang Mo waved the small parasol and blocked a green metal butterfly. He looked up again and saw a stream of white fire heading straight for his chest. The players used strange props and Tang Mo used the small parasol to keep blocking and evading. He counted the time in his mind. It had been 3 minutes since Fu Wenduo blew up the building in the north. Tang Mo secretly wondered, did Fu Wenduo experience an accident? Escaping shouldn't be a problem with Fu Wenduo's strength. The likelihood of an incident was very low, but Tang Mo couldn't feel completely relieved. However, the player's intense attacks forced him to put this matter behind him as he kept running. Tang Mo did everything he could to get near the garbage disposal station where Xiao Jitong and the others were waiting. But the ambushing players had long discovered his intentions. The road to the garbage disposal station was blocked by various props. Tang Mo placed a hand on the ground and jumped back to avoid a big knife. A tall middle-aged man stared at Tang Mo and aimed the knife at him without any politeness. Beside him, 3 more people rushed to attack Tang Mo. Tang Mo quickly stepped sideways and closed the small parasol, the tip of the parasol piercing the chest of the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's eyes widened. It happened so fast that he didn't seem to understand how he had died as his body fell down. The people around him were startled before someone shouted, "He is so powerful, he must have a lot of badges." Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. The battle never ceased. This game was no longer an ordinary reality instance, it was more like an endless escape. As the players were fighting, the last batch of rabbit heads appeared but no one went to catch them. Killing a rabbit head could only get 1 badge. Killing a player who survived to this moment could get many badges. Anyone would know what decision to make. As time passed, Tang Mo was surprised to find that he actually gained the upper hand in this melee. It's not that I'm becoming stronger, they are becoming weaker. Tang Mo's brain worked quickly as he escaped a fierce fist. He suddenly thought, wait, what about those attacking in the distance? The next moment, a heavy object landed to answer Tang Mo's question. He looked up and saw a tall, handsome man standing on the other side of the street. Fu Wenduo looked at Tang Mo. He had just thrown a knife and killed the man sneaking behind Tang Mo. Tang Mo's eyes fell on Fu Wenduo's blood-stained clothes. He checked the position of the other person and had an answer in his mind. Tang Mo's lips curved. The next second, without speaking, the 2 men joined hands to get rid of these ambushing players and officially met up. The average level of these players was much lower than other regions, but they were numerous. There were several bloody scratches and charred marks on Tang Mo's skin while Fu Wenduo was in a slightly better state. No one knew how long it took, but Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo finally got close to the garbage disposal station. Tang Mo was ready to rush into the garbage disposal station when Xiao Jitong looked at him and cried out, "Careful." Tang Mo hurriedly stepped to the side but was a bit late. A silver knife cut his chin. A tall and thin young man was standing at the entrance to the garbage disposal station, staring coldly at Tang Mo. Due to this blow, 2 badges fell out of Tang Mo's pocket. The man glanced down before sneering. Fu Wenduo was about to help when a long whip tied around his wrist. He looked around and saw a high school girl standing not far away, staring at him with a cold expression. Fu Wenduo looked back calmly before suddenly rushing over. Tang Mo waved the small parasol, blocking the young man's knife. The opponent was very fast, each move stabbing at Tang Mo's vital points. In a few seconds, the two men had collided dozens of times. As he blocked the sharp and decisive knife, Tang Mo clearly felt that this person was becoming faster and the strength behind each blow more powerful. The knife once again aimed at his head and Tang Mo raised the small parasol to resist. However, he was shocked by the terrible force and took 3 steps back. The young man immediately attacked, his knife once again aiming for Tang Mo's head. Tang Mo raised his left hand with cold eyes. A huge match suddenly appeared in his hand, blocking the powerful knife. The man didn't expect the disadvantaged Tang Mo to be prepared and for a giant match to suddenly appear. He sensed something bad and wanted to retreat from the match. Tang Mo was faster as the red match head rubbed against the ground, causing sparks that flew towards the man. Boom! Flames instantly lit up. The young man hurried to put out the fire with his hands. However, the flames didn't go out and set his hand on fire instead. He shouted with astonishment while the high school girl fighting Fu Wenduo heard his voice. She quickly looked at him and realized the situation. "Brother." The female high school student wanted to rush over, but how could Fu Wenduo let her leave? He grabbed the girl's whip and didn't hesitate to throw it away. Fu Wenduo moved his right hand and a slender rope wrapped around his wrist. The high school student struggled and found that the rope couldn't be untied at all. At this point, half the young man's body had been engulfed by the fire. The female high school student rushed back angrily, taking a black sphere out of her pocket and throwing it. "I'll fight with you." The black sphere landed. The players around it realized something was wrong and fled. Tang Mo's eyes widened with surprise. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo who was looking back. The next second, Fu Wenduo suddenly turned around. As everyone was fleeing, he didn't hesitate to rush into the garbage disposal station. Boom! By the time the black sphere exploded, Fu Wenduo had already entered the garbage disposal station. Prior to this, dozens of people had entered the station and some players who hadn't collected a full badge set were ruthlessly pushed in. Everyone was surprised when Fu Wenduo entered but didn't think too much. They just thought he would put 8 badges into the light and clear the game. They saw Fu Wenduo approach the light before didn't do anything. He just calmly watched the ball of light before whispering something. Time seemed to stand still as Fu Wenduo looked at the ball of light in silence. 3 seconds later, he turned and looked at Tang Mo. Plan A. Tang Mo looked at Fu Wenduo with open lips before closing them. All types of complex emotions flashed in his heart, but in the end, he couldn't say anything. A moment later, Tang Mo moved through the crowd and looked at Xiao Jitong not far away. Xiao Jitong also saw that Fu Wenduo hadn't put any badges into the light at the garbage disposal station. A vague speculation filled his heart, but he deliberately didn't guess this possibility. The next moment, he heard a large voice fill Zinjiku Square, "Without badges, you can enter. And still clear the game." In the dark night, all sounds of fierce fighting stopped. Countless people turned towards the young man standing next to the garbage disposal station. A huge clock next to the square clicked and the minute hand turned to the number 11. It was 5:50 a.m. and a faint light was shining from the east. At the same time, on the land of China, there were people in various cities crying out, "Don't kill, you don't have to kill. You don't need badges at all. Just saying surprise will allow you to clear the instance. If you say anything to it related to surprise, the game will be cleared." The clock kept ticking. It was getting brighter and there were 10 minutes left in the last person's garbage cleaning game. At 6:00 on March 6, a clear child's voice was heard over 10 cities. There was gloating in his tone as he seemed to be ridiculing every player present. Ding dong. The large reality instance, the last person's garbage cleaning game, has ended. During the game time, China District 6 had 4,921 garbage successfully clear the game and obtained a human identity. China District 49 had 4,235 garbage successfully clear the game and obtained a human identity. China District 1002 had 3,914 garbage successfully clear the game and obtained a human identity. The rest of the garbage will start to load the tower attack game, hard mode. Ding dong. The human players in the 10 districts are rewarded with Black Tower's surprise. Please try to attack the tower. Added AKO.fi for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. From beginning to end, the last person's garbage cleaning game was just like what it said on the surface. It was a big cleaning game. The Black Tower wanted to remove the weaker, garbage players. In this game, powerful players could kill the rabbit heads through various means. They could also kill the players and get the badges. Highly intelligent players could use a strategy to obtain badges and even find the real surprise of the game. In the last 10 minutes, there were around 800 players around the Zinjiku garbage disposal station. However, the number of players who eventually entered the garbage disposal station and successfully cleared the game was less than 200. Hundreds of people died here and hundreds of people were forced into the tower attack game. Tang Yimou might have told them the real method to clear the instance, but it was unrealistic for many people to enter the small garbage disposal station in 10 minutes. Once the Black Tower announced that the game was officially over, the failed players' bodies gradually disappeared. Just like when the Earth went online 5 months ago, an invisible line slowly rose from the feet and wiped away their bodies. The horrified players tried to escape but couldn't. Some people resentfully took their weapons and attacked the players standing nearby, successfully passing the game. The battle never ceased. As soon as the game was over, Tang Yimou and Fu Wenduo quickly left the chaotic area with the members of the Nanjing group. Fu Wenduo went alone to the residential area to find Fu Wensheng. There weren't many players in Nanjing. Now that this game was over, no one was on the empty streets. Chai Rong suffered serious injuries to one leg and the wound on his chest opened again. He heard the screams and metal collisions coming from behind him and squeezed his hands tightly. He looked at the Black Tower above his head with a red face. After a long time, Chai Rong punched the alley wall. I don't understand, why is the game like this? If you can just enter and say something related to surprise, even the word surprise can clear the game, then the previous 12 hours. What was the point of everything we did? They killed so many rabbit heads and players in Nanjing. Yet clearing the game didn't need the badges at all. So why did they do all that? What is this? Chai Rong had cleared many Black Tower games but he had never seen such a thing. How did this game want players to win? It is clearly just trying to kill us. Xiao Jitong said, it just wants to kill you. Chai Rong stopped speaking and looked at his companion with astonishment. Xiao Jitong was also injured. A deep blood cut was drawn from the corner of his left eye to the corner of his mouth, almost disfiguring him. The blood had already solidified but there was still a gaping hole across his face. Along the way, members of the Nanjing group used mineral water to treat the wounds. Xiao Jitong didn't seem to know that he was injured as he looked coldly at Chai Rong. This game is a junk cleaning game. If you don't understand what I am telling you, then you have escaped from death. The Black Tower used this method to filter the trash in the Black Tower and kick out all the unwanted garbage. Are you smart? Chai Rong didn't understand why Xiao Jitong suddenly asked this question. He first nodded before honestly shaking his head. Xiao Jitong laughed, however, your strength is high enough. You aren't garbage in its eyes and you cleared the game. Chai Rong couldn't bear it anymore. Old Xiao, your face. On the other hand, if you're smart enough, you can set traps to get badges or directly unlock the truth. No matter what you are good at, there is a chance of surviving. As long as you are strong enough, you can pass the instance. The Black Tower is screening qualified people. Xiao Jitong didn't pay attention to Chai Rong and spoke directly. Chai Rong was dissatisfied. Powerful players can forcefully clear the instance while smart players can rely on solving the puzzle to clear it. I know this. The same is true for the Black Tower games we have cleared in the past 5 months. But this time, according to Mr. Tang, we can just go in and say anything related to surprise to clear the game. In the end, everyone will work hard to enter the garbage disposal station with or without the badges. How can these people be qualified in the Black Tower's eyes? Xiao Jitong explained, a player who has escaped for 12 hours and can finally enter the garbage disposal station. Why aren't they qualified? Chai Rong's heart was filled with a dull rage and resentment. He didn't know what he was mad about, but it was like a big stone was blocking his chest. The stone pressed heavily on his heart, making him breathless. He tried his best to prove the unfairness of this Black Tower game. Who says that these players are qualified? What if someone with no strength or intelligence didn't wait until the end of the game? He is silly, and shortly after the game begins, he finds there is no ambush near the garbage disposal station and enters, clearing the game. Is there such a person? Chai Rong replied, what if there is? Xiao Jitong laughed at the stubborn Chai Rong. Tang Mo quietly looked at 2 of the best players in Nanjing. One of them was the leader of the Nanjing group and the other was the leader of the Nanjing strategy group. In the past 3 months, they worked together to build Nanjing into the most peaceful city. Now they were arguing with red faces and terrible wounds, but they had no intention of dealing with these wounds. Xiao Jitong didn't need an answer. Tang Mo didn't speak as Ningning stood on the side, looking coldly down at the ground. Who told you that luck isn't a type of strength? Chai Rong turned to look at Ningning. Ningning said, 5 months ago, the humans with the best luck entered the Black Tower game and became an official player after clearing the game. Through luck, some humans became reserve players. Players with better luck killed people in those 3 days and eventually became stowaways. All 3 groups of people are lucky. Those who didn't even know the truth were directly killed by the Black Tower. More than 6 billion people didn't have any luck and died. Ningning paused and looked calmly at Chai Rong. Why are these 6 billion people unlucky? Chai Rong agreed. Right, that's why the Black Tower isn't fair. The Black Tower game this time is the same. In the eyes of the Black Tower, the 6 billion people who disappeared deserve this misfortune. Chai Rong looked at Ningning with wide eyes. The tall and cold-looking woman stared at him. They didn't trigger a Black Tower game, didn't become a reserve and didn't kill anyone. They deserved it because they have no luck. Why should the Black Tower give you consideration for your luck? It is just like this garbage cleaning game. If someone wasn't nervous at the beginning and entered the garbage disposal station, they might find a way to clear the game. It is possible that the players in the city would be rescued as a result. But no such person appeared. If this is the game, all the rescued players would take it for granted. They were lucky. Luck is also a type of strength. Ningning finished her explanation and turned to Xiao Jitong. Captain, I want to go see the Black Tower. Xiao Jitong nodded. Okay. Ningning looked calm and unmoved. However, the fingers holding the bow were squeezing tightly and white. She spoke cold words but her back seemed small as she walked to the Black Tower. Chai Rong was flustered. He already noticed this but refused to admit it. Xiao Jitong looked at him and pointed out the cruelest truth in a calm voice. Chai Rong, you are the one who raised the garbage. Chai Rong looked at his friend and companion with shock. Xiao Jitong's face still had a faint smile despite saying such criticism. Under the sunlight, his smile was extremely dazzling. Chai Rong looked at him dumbly before turning away. The members of the Nanjing group were shocked. Captain. The members hastened to follow him. Lin Rong was the last to leave. Before leaving, she looked deeply into the smiling Xiao Jitong's eyes. I know what you mean. Captain Xiao, I think Chai Rong understands but he needs a bit of time. Nanjing being named at the bottom wasn't Captain's hope. In addition, Captain Xiao, you need to deal with that wound. It might take half a month for it to heal by itself. Xiao Jitong waved his hand. Go and comfort the idiot. The members of the Nanjing group all followed Chai Rong, leaving only the strategy group and Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo wanted to go with the Nanjing group since Fu Wen Duo was taking Fu Wenxing directly back to their base. Still, he didn't leave immediately. He stayed where he was, watching Xiao Jitong. Xiao Jitong also looked at him, the two people staring at each other for a while. Tang Yamo smiled. Do you have something to ask me? Xiao Jitong smiled once his mind was discovered and he opened his mouth. Yes. I want to ask you. Why did Fu Wen Duo dare do this experiment himself? Tang Yamo spoke casually, he has a set of surprise badges. We gathered all of them. It is true that if the badges are put into the light, you can definitely clear the game. That's why Fu Wen Duo dared to enter the garbage disposal station. But what if the Black Tower gave you only one chance? If you don't put the badges in first, it might be considered a game failure. Fu Wen Duo, or should I say, Tang Yamo. Why did the two of you dare take this risk? Both Tang Yamo and Xiao Jitong didn't dare enter the garbage disposal stations without collecting all the badges. Even if he had all the badges, Xiao Jitong didn't dare take this risk. A long time ago, Tang Yamo asked Xiao Jitong if the surprise was really these badges. Both of them had guessed that the Black Tower's surprise might be something else. It had nothing to do with force and was something that all players could get. Yet they didn't dare experiment. Tang Yamo and the others collected badges and made a decision once there was only 1 hour left in the game. Xiao Jitong wasn't planning to experiment at all. This was an experiment risking his life. Why did Fu Wen Duo dare do it? How could Tang Yamo be so reassured? Xiao Jitong wondered about these questions. Tang Mo's expression didn't show any fluctuations. It was as if he was really carefully pondering Xiao Jitong's question. After a while, he looked at Xiao Jitong and righteously said, it is because Fu Wen Duo is a good person. Xiao Jitong was shocked. What? Tang Mo's eyes were sincere. Fu Wen Duo was a soldier. You should know this. From his many habits, he is clearly a soldier. Therefore, he has a sense of justice and integrity. I really admire him. At the time, we had a full set of badges and the odds of failing were less than 1%. Fu Wen Duo is a good person, so he is willing to risk the 1% to find a way for everyone to clear the game. Tang Yamo spoke with poor acting. Fu Wen Duo is a really good person. Xiao Jitong. The blonde boy next to him couldn't help saying, I can see your wickedness. Tang Yamo looked at Xiao Jitong. He thought about it before putting on Bai Ruoyao's smile. Xiao Jitong stared at him, trying to find an answer from Tang Mo's expression. However, he couldn't find anything. Finally, he sighed helplessly. Everyone has their own secrets. Tang Yimo smiled and didn't say anything else. No matter how suspicious Xiao Jitong was, he wouldn't be able to guess that Tang Yimo and Fu Wenduo possessed the cheat artifact of the turkey egg. The two of them differed here. Xiao Jitong didn't want to risk his teammates' lives, so he didn't plan to explore the real way to clear the game. It didn't matter as long as he and his teammates could clear it. If they didn't have the turkey egg, Fu Wenduo and Tang Yimo would do the same. In the last hour, Tang Yimo and Fu Wenduo opened the turkey egg. They had long been prepared. If there was a chance, one of them would enter the garbage disposal station and try other methods to clear the game. If something happened, they would load the file and return again. The sound of fighting in Zinjiku gradually ceased. The morning sun rose in the air, giving off warm sunshine. Tang Yimo looked up at the round sun in the sky, Ningning's words ringing in his mind. Luck is also a type of strength. Tang Yimo shook his head with a smile. Yes, for the Black Tower, luck was a type of strength. Tang Yimo headed to the Nanjing Group SS base where Fu Wenduo was already waiting with the child. Fu Wensheng was quietly sitting on a factory box, his head bowed and not talking. The other members of Nanjing were no different from him. In this game, the Nanjing Group lost 7 people. The young man who joked with Tang Yimo one day ago wasn't here. He was lying at the bottom of the icy lake. His black companion silently left the base and headed for Xuanwu Lake Park. During the game, they didn't have time to get their companions' bodies and bury them. Now they had plenty of time. Chai Rong and the Nanjing Group members were demoralized and had a heavy mood. On the other hand, the members of the strategy group were quite active. In the afternoon, Xiao Jitong came to the Nanjing Group's base with Xiao Qiao, Xiao Wei and several other members. Then Tang Yimo discovered the reason for Fu Wensheng's bad mood. At Xuanwu Lake Park, he knew 2 of the Nanjing players who attacked them. Just last week, these players wanted to buy news about an instance from the Nanjing Group. They didn't have any props on hand, so the Nanjing Group members readily told them, "Bring back the props once you clear the instance." The Nanjing Group often did this. At first, Chai Rong didn't want to protect the players of Nanjing. He just provided a peaceful environment. The stowaway didn't dare kill in Nanjing because the Nanjing Group would punish malicious murderers. Xiao Jitong was the one who proposed swapping props for information. He didn't force Nanjing players to exchange them for information, it was all voluntary. Then the Nanjing Group set up a bulletin board in Zinjiku Square to mark all possible instance entry locations. The Nanjing Group didn't actively tie the hands and feet of the Nanjing players. Fu Wensheng couldn't accept it. Why did the players who once said thank you could kill the people they were grateful towards the next second? He was too young. He understood it, but his heart was very uncomfortable. It would take time for him to digest this cruel thing. After a night of reorganization, Xiao Jitong was forced to make a decision the next morning. From now on, the strategy group and Nanjing Group will merge. There is no Nanjing, we are a team that exists only for ourselves. We won't sell information to anyone and will no longer publish the locations to the instance entrances. Chai Rong is the captain and I am the vice-captain. Xiao Jitong added with a smile, of course, you don't have to worry about your captain's words. Just listen to me. He is stupid after all. Chai Rong's depressed mood was dispelled with this sentence as he jumped up, Xiao Jitong. Xiao Jitong smiled and kept announcing the team composition and disciplinary requirements. We have too many people, so we will now divide into 3 teams. I, Chai Rong, Xiao Qiao. Xiao Jitong didn't avoid Tang Yimo and Fu Wenduo when speaking. He even called them over to advance. But Tang Yimo wasn't interested in this type of team. He looked at Fu Wenduo and the other raised an eyebrow, obviously not wanting to stay. The 2 people had just turned to leave when they heard a male voice. Mr. Tang, Mr. Fu, I haven't finished a matter yet. Tang Yimo stopped and turned around. Xiao Jitong pulled up the child sitting down. He carried Fu Wensheng by the collar over to Fu Wenduo. Go quietly with him. Fu Wensheng's eyes widened. Captain Xiao. Xiao Jitong corrected, it is Vice-Captain, not Captain Xiao. Fu Wensheng said, I told my brother, I want to stay. My brother is so strong and he and I haven't seen each other for a long time. It is better for me to stay with you since I have been here a few months. But your brother is the one who saved you. Fu Wensheng fell silent. Xiao Jitong smiled at him. Our team couldn't fight to save you. If I am present, if I had to sacrifice you to save the lives of others, I would reasonably give you up. It isn't just you. If I am in danger, Chai Rong would give up on me. Chai Rong muttered, who wants to save you? Ningning flatly said, Captain, I will give you up. Xiao Jitong said, you don't have to be so positive. Xiao Jitong coughed twice before continuing to say to the child, but your brother is different. If you are in danger, he will save you. It was the same with Xuanwu Lake Park. Therefore, for the sake of your life, go with your brother. If I had an opportunity where my relatives was still alive, I wouldn't hesitate to go with them. Fu Wensheng was very clever and understood Xiao Jitong's meaning. He eventually agreed. However, he still whispered, Captain Xiao, you have no basis for your words. You have no family, so of course you can say it casually. Xiao Jitong calmly replied, I am sure that I would choose my loved ones over Thes Tupid Chai Rong. Chai Rong shouted, you. Captain Xiao. There is someone here who says she is your sister. The smile on Xiao Jitong's face suddenly froze. The turnaround came too fast. Tang Mo looked at Xiao Jitong's sluggish appearance and suddenly felt that it was funny. Out of courtesy, Tang Mo held back his smile. On the other hand, Chai Rong and the other Nanjing players burst out laughing. Tang Mo heard their pleasant laughter and couldn't help joining in. The atmosphere brought about by the garbage cleaning game was swept away in an instant. Xiao Jitong headed to the factory door with an entrance. He wanted to see how he got an extra sister when he was obviously an only child. Chai Rong and Ningning could testify to this. The group followed Xiao Jitong and eventually came upon Xiao Jitong's sister. Tang Mo was following out of boredom when a low voice entered his ears. Do you want to check my ability? Tang Mo was stunned and turned to look. In the warm spring breeze, Fu Wenduo slightly smiled as he stretched out his right hand. Tang Mo froze for a moment before understanding the other person's meaning. He felt somewhat awkward about someone seeing them, but previously, holding hands for 1 hour wasn't successful. It was indeed better to start early. Tang Mo took Fu Wenduo's hand. I'm guessing we should know your ability by nighttime. The two people walked towards the door and hadn't yet arrived when they heard an excited female voice. Cousin. Then a male voice was heard. Brother Xiao, it really is you. Xiao Jitong was stunned. And Chu, Lu Xing. Tang Mo suddenly felt that these two names were a bit familiar. He was still thinking about it when Fu Wenduo whispered in his ear. The strange circus. Tang Mo. What a small world. Tang Mo subconsciously wanted to leave. He turned and pulled Fu Wenduo along with him. But it was too late. Among the crowd of people happy to see what Xiao Jitong's sister looked like, Lu Xing looked up and saw a familiar back. His eyes widened with dismay and all types of scenes flashed in his head. At least, he stared at Fu Wenduo with horror and pointed his hand. Oh my God, Mr. A. Fu Wenduo stopped. The Nanjing group players, including Xiao Jitong, turned to look at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo's back was always straight like a pine. He was also close to 1.9 meters tall and stood out in a crowd. Lu Xing had only seen Mr. A in the last fight, but he clearly remembered his figure. He looked at Tang Mo beside Mr. A and he shouted together with an Chu, Mr. B. Lu Xing said, oh my God, why did Mr. A and Mr. B follow us here? And Chu replied, "You idiot, we just got here. Mr. A and Mr. B were already here." Things had progressed like this, so Tang Mo turned around helplessly. Lu Xing asked curiously, "Then who is the damned Fu Wen duo and who is the damned Tang Mo?" Tang Mo frowned and was prepared to explain the truth about the strange circus instance. They had to blame the Black Tower for this matter. Of course, he would deliberately conceal the last reward from Lu Xing and the others. But before he could speak, Fu Wensheng ran out with horror. "What Fu Wen duo? You're mistaking him for someone else. This is my brother. He is called Fu Wenxian, not Fu Wen duo. He is Fu Wenxian." Lu Xing asked in a strange tone, He isn't Fu Wen duo. The Black Tower said that Fu Wen duo and Tang Mo were the ones who cleared the game. Fu Wenqing started sweating. "This is Fu Wenxian, Fu Wenxian. Ha ha ha." The Nanjing group players looked at the child's frightened expression and laughed. Fu Wenqing stared at them with bewilderment. Xiao Jitong smiled helplessly, "They already know that your older brother is Fu Wen duo. Did you forget that at Xuanwu Lake Park, Ningning accidentally shouted Fu Wen duo in front of everyone?" Fu Wenqing. Ningning looked to the side. She pretended not to know anything. And Chu didn't understand why her cousin and this notorious stowaway were getting along so well. She looked strangely at the laughing members before finally looking at Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo. Suddenly, her gaze fell on the tightly held hands of the two men. And Chu. What was this? Gay. It felt like she had learned something shocking. The author has something to say. Tang. MMP, it is just holding hands. Can't men hold hands without being gay? Straight males Xiao Jitong, Chai Rong, Xiao Fu, Shi Huiyao and others. Yes, no. Tang. Added AKO.fi for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels. Chapter 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And Chu and Lu Xing had high strength and they both passed through the Black Tower's first floor. They came to Xiao Jitong and naturally joined the newly reborn Nanjing group, becoming members. Xiao Jitong's words were reasonable and Fu Wenqing couldn't refute them, so he decided to leave Nanjing with Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo. Thus, the new Nanjing group had more than 30 members. The members of the Nanjing group didn't react as much as Fu Wenqing imagined when they found out Fu Wen's identity. They smiled at the youngest teammate who was able to leave, but it was hard to cover up the exhaustion behind their smiles. The sudden big escape game drained all their energies. Are stowaways bad people? Xiao Jitong smiled at his cousin and pointed to the woman in black standing next to him. Ningning is a stowaway, but she didn't become one because she liked killing. She isn't a bad person. But your words. Mr. Fu and Mr. Tang fought against you. I'd like to hear what happened. Xiao Jitong said good things about Fu Wen duo only to later dig a hole for Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo. He smiled at Tang Mo. Tang Mo raised an eyebrow and talked about the strange circus. He had wanted to talk about it before and now he had a chance. And Chu and Lu Xing realized after hearing Tang Mo's explanation. Lu Xing said, there is something like this. Placing the players against each other. Does the Black Tower lack all morality? Xiao Jitong was more concerned about something else. The Black Tower can make players a boss that fights other players. There were 21 first-floor players and 2 second-floor Black Tower players. At first glance, the two of you were at a disadvantage. However, Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo got the monster cage from the beginning and the other players didn't know what the monster was. There is also the strange circus and the mysterious leader behind them. They could borrow the power of the Black Tower world. Tang Mo gazed at Xiao Jitong. Smart people saw things differently from others. At the end of the circus game, Tang Mo and Fu Wen duo had discussed it privately. If their plan was unsuccessfully, they would contact the circus for help. They would use the power of the circus to protect the earthworm and finish the game. Once the misunderstanding was dismissed, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo took Fu Wenqing to leave. An Chu and Lu Xing joined the Nanjing group and listened to Xiao Jitong's next plan. This misunderstanding might have been resolved by Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo had been pitted against the An Chu duo in the strange circus game. Lu Xing looked very awkward as he looked back and forth between Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo, inwardly feeling very depressed. An Chu's eyes were focused on Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's hands. It wasn't 1 minute. Was it 5 minutes? No, it was half an hour. More than 30 players stood together closely. If a person didn't pay attention, it was hard to discover that Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo were holding hands. It would just look like they were standing closely together. However, An Chu found out. It was like finding a grain of brown rice among white rice. At first glance, it couldn't be seen at all, but once it was found, An Chu's gaze couldn't be removed from the grain. 2 girls holding hands might be good feelings, but 2 men holding hands. This was beyond a good friendship. They were holding hands for so long that it didn't seem like a joke. An Chu's mind was full of strange ideas and she finally looked meaningfully at Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo sensed her gaze and looked back strangely. An Chu, gender isn't a problem. Tang Yamo. Are you still angry about the circus thing? The 2 people smiled and nodded. They thought that the other side understood their meaning. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo would leave tomorrow, so they went back to Fu Wenqing's room for him to collect his things. He didn't have many things to bring, just some props and daily necessities. Tang Yamo saw a few bottles of Nongfu mineral water in his water, the same as the ones Xiao Jitong often used. Last night, at Chai Rong and Ningning's strong request, Xiao Jitong used the mineral water to treat the wound on his face. Ningning felt it was too unsightly and looked awkward. Chai Rong didn't want Xiao Jitong's face to scar, always reminding him of the garbage cleaning game. Originally, Xiao Jitong wanted to leave it for a few days, but the Nanjing members unanimously opposed it. He could only listen to the majority and heal the injury. Tang Yamo looked at the bottles of Nongfu mineral water and asked, "The Nanjing group has a lot of these mineral water bottles?" Fu Wenqing said, "Yes, there are quite a lot. They should have more than 100 bottles left. The Nanjing players can use props or intelligence to gain it." Tang Yamo wondered, can we also use the information to exchange it? The earthworm's tear was more practical, but there was only one more chance to use it. From the moment the earth went online to the present, Tang Yamo relied on his physical ability to heal his wounds. The Nongfu water could speed up the rate of recovery. It was less effective than the earthworm's tears, but it was still a good prop. The child made a strange expression at his words. Fu Wenqing looked at Tang Yamo and said, after a long time, "Why would you exchange intelligence for this?" Tang Yamo replied, "We don't have any healing props." Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo had gone through their props a few days ago and had mostly killing-type weapons. There were few auxiliary props. Then Fu Wenqing's meaning. Tang Yamo asked, "You can directly take a few bottles." They had a relationship with Xiao Jitong and Fu Wenqing was a member of the Nanjing group. It was reasonable for him to directly take a few bottles. Who would have expected Fu Wenqing to say in the next second, "This is my ability"? Tang Yamo said, "This is originally your ability, then we can really take." His voice stopped and Tang Yamo stared at the child with a startled expression. "Your ability?" Fu Wenqing nodded. The child raised his right hand. He took a plastic basin from under the bed and placed his right hand over the plastic basin. A clear stream of water gushed from his palm. It continued to flow and soon filled the whole basin. Then Fu Wenqing took out a large funnel and several Nongfu mineral water bottles from under his bed. He filled 5 bottles in the blink of an eye. He handed it to Tang Yamo. "Yes, this is my ability." Tang Yamo. It was his ability. Fu Wenduo let out a low laugh. Tang Yamo and Fu Wenqing turned to look at him. Fu Wenduo let out a faint sigh. It is slightly useful. Fu Wenqing wanted to ask how it was slightly useful. It was obviously very useful. Captain Xiao said his ability was very powerful. If it could be upgraded like Captain Chai and Ningning, maybe the mineral water could produce human bones in the future. However, he saw his older brother's restrained smile and closed his mouth. While feeling angry, a little joy and smugness emerged in the heart of the child. This was the first time that his eldest brother had praised him. Fu Wenqing packed up his things and laid mattresses and blankets on the ground for Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo. The three of them would leave tomorrow and would stay in Nanjing for one more night. Tang Yamo didn't let a child make the bed for himself. He went forward and wanted to help. He barely moved when Fu Wenduo released his hand and spoke to Fu Wenqing in a calm mood. Sell more of the mineral water before we go. Fu Wenqing couldn't respond for a moment before exclaiming, "Ah! Sell them to Chai Rong and Xiao Jitong." Fu Wenduo paused before lying on one side of the mattress. "How much mineral water did you give them before?" Fu Wenqing answered honestly. "Hundreds of bottles. It is probably a few hundred of these Nongfu mineral water bottles." "Oh, it is child labor." Fu Wenqing cautiously reminded, "Big brother, they are my teammates." Fu Wenduo said, "They aren't teammates now. Make new ones and sell them in exchange for information. I want to be teammates with Captain Chai instead of you." Fu Wenqing didn't dare speak. His eyes were depressed but he obediently made new bottles of mineral water. Tang Yamo couldn't help smiling when he saw this scene. His right hand moved slightly. A hot temperature seemed to remain between his fingers. Fu Wenduo let go very suddenly and decisively, but Tang Yamo wasn't surprised. In the dim light, the tall man moved to lay a blanket over the mattress, smoothly every corner neatly. He was very fast, as if he had done similar things in the past. In fact, Tang Yamo and Fu Wenduo's physical fitness meant they didn't need to sleep tonight. However, the child was different, so Fu Wenduo didn't object. This was kindness to the child. In some ways, Fu Wenduo was a good brother and a good man. Tang Mo's words about Fu Wenduo being a good man to Xiao Jitong wasn't entirely perfunctory. He also realized this fact. Regardless of morality, outlook on life or attitude towards life and death, Tang Yamo felt that Fu Wenduo was a good person. He might be even better than Tang Yamo. At the very least, Fu Wenduo wouldn't be tempted to go to the Black Tower to angrily kick it. As he thought this, Tang Yamo remembered that he would pass by Zinjiku when leaving Nanjing tomorrow. Should he kick the Black Tower when passing by it? Tang Yamo felt that his temper actually wasn't very good at all. "Are you going to sleep?" A low voice was heard. Tang Mo's spirit suddenly recovered. He saw that Fu Wenduo was squatting beside the mattress, his dark eyes steadily gazing at Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo found that the other person was staring at him for a long time. Fu Wenduo's face was very calm. He shook his head, "It doesn't matter if I don't sleep for a few nights. We had been holding hands for a few hours and I still couldn't find out your ability. There are two reasons. First, I gained someone else's ability and the effect is poorer, so the limit is more than the original. It might take more time to get another person's ability. Second, your ability is so powerful that I need more time." Fu Wenduo said, "It isn't urgent. It will take 3 days to get to Beijing so we can keep making physical contact on the road." Tang Yamo thought, "You don't know that touching more intimate parts has a better effect." Outwardly, he sighed and said, "Okay, do an experiment with Fu Wenqing tomorrow." The child making mineral water in the next room suddenly heard his name and became frightened. "Big brother, experiment." "What experiment?" Fu Wenduo didn't blink. "An experiment to sell you." Fu Wenqing. The number of mineral water that the child could produce was limited. In one night, he only made 30 bottles. Fu Wensheng laid in bed and soon slept. It was after a brutal escape game, so Tang Mo felt a bit sleepy. He closed his eyes while Fu Wenduo slept not far from him. The sound of the clock ticking was the only thing heard in the silent room. A long time passed before Fu Wenduo whispered, "It is better to change our names. My name is known to all Chinese players. Your name isn't well known, but Momo is famous among the best players." Tang Mo hadn't fallen asleep. He opened his eyes and thought for a moment. Yes, it makes sense. Will your name be Fu Wenxian? Tang Mo laughed while saying the name. This was even worse than Fu Wenduo. The members of the Nanjing group knew Fu Wensheng first, which was how they could accept someone called Fu Wenxian. The new name should be something similar that is easier to accept. Your name is Tang Ji. Fu Wensheng's name should be changed. He will be called. Fu Wenduo stopped to think before saying solemnly, his name is De Qiao. My name will be Victor. Time suddenly stilled as Tang Mo's heart jumped. He couldn't help raising his head and looking at the man next to him. In the darkness, he could only see a shadow. He stared at Fu Wenduo while his heart beat loudly. Why Victor? Tang Mo was about to open his mouth. At this moment, a clear voice was heard from the bed. Brother, why am I called De Qiao? What is this name? The child felt extremely wronged and couldn't restrain himself. Fu Wenduo asked, You aren't asleep? Fu Wensheng didn't let him change the topic. Brother, why am I called this name? It is a girl's name. It seemed like he hadn't seen Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Isn't your good friend called Xiao Qiao? Qiao is a surname. In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, there were two famous Qiao sisters called De Qiao and Xiao Qiao. De Qiao basically means big Qiao while Xiao Qiao is small Qiao. Fu Wensheng was surprised. Then he soon recovered. He is George Edward. Xiao Qiao is the nickname that Captain Xiao gave him. Xiao Qiao didn't understand anything and didn't know it was the name of a girl. He agreed to Captain Xiao's suggestion. If he knew then he wouldn't let everyone call him that. Oh, then you don't call him that. The silent Fu Wensheng was dumbfounded. Fu Wenduo wondered, if I remember correctly, your home is on Beijing's Third Ring Road called the Bronze Sparrow Terrace. The bronze sparrows are also called Qiao. Fu Wensheng felt it was convincing. The amused Tang Mo finally laughed. Fu Wenduo and Fu Wensheng turned their heads when they heard his laugh. Tang Mo wondered, my name is Tang Ji because it is a bit similar. Then why are you called Victor? Tang Mo felt his nerves shake the moment he heard this name. It seemed like an extremely long time since the Earth went online, but it was only a few months. In these months, some people were hidden deep in his memories, making them hard to remember. When he thought about it, his emotions were like a tide. Tang Mo couldn't tell why he liked Victor in the first place. They were clearly separated by a computer. Tang Mo didn't know the other person's age, looks, occupation or even where he lived. But Tang Mo liked this strange yet familiar person. Whenever they played bridge together, Tang Mo trusted him unconditionally. Their spirits collided and it was like the scent of a seductive woman, making Tang Mo gradually addicted and unable to extricate himself. However, these feelings seemed very tiny compared to the brutal Black Tower games of the past few months. Rather than looking for someone whose location was unknown, Tang Mo was more concerned about his own survival. Tang Mo's heart became heavier. Victor might be dead or alive, but Tang Mo would continue to live. Isn't it similar? Tang Mo's thoughts were interrupted. In the darkness, Fu Wenduo looked quietly at him. Wenduo, Victor, isn't it similar when read quickly? TL. Characters for Victor are Wei.Ku.Duo, which is why he says it is similar. Tang Mo was stunned and felt that the thoughts that just flashed through his mind were a bit funny. He mouthed it several times before saying, "It is similar." Fu Wensheng lying in bed heard their conversation and originally wanted to say, "Brother, that is your English name." However, he had just been bullied by Fu Wenduo and was too depressed to talk. He just closed his eyes and continued to speak. Tang Mo no longer worried about this problem. He didn't know that Fu Wenduo silently watched him for a long time. Without waiting for Tang Mo's words, Fu Wenduo frowned and looked up at the ceiling. It was a sleepless night. The next morning, the Tang Mo trio left. Before leaving, Fu Wenduo told Fu Wensheng to go and sell the 30 bottles of Nongfu mineral waters for useful information. The child ran with the mineral water. Once he returned, Fu Wenduo looked at him with raised eyebrows. "What information did you get?" Fu Wensheng talked quickly. Tang Mo looked at the two brothers and couldn't help smiling. Compared to him, his teammate might have a better temper and was gentler. As they passed the Black Tower, Tang Mo thought of his intention to smash the Black Tower. However, Fu Wenduo and Fu Wensheng were there. He hesitated before deciding to maintain his image. He had to pay attention to his image in front of Fu Wenduo's younger relative. Tang Mo strode away from the Black Tower, but Fu Wenduo stopped, looking up at the huge tower. His vision moved and Fu Wenduo saw the young woman standing in the distance, gazing at the Black Tower. Tang Mo also noticed the other person. He looked at Ningning in the distance and nodded lightly. Ningning greeted the Tang Mo trio but didn't say anything else. She sat on a dusty stone, holding her silver bow as she quietly looked up at the Black Tower. She tirelessly looked at the Black Tower. No one knew how long she had been watching and how many times she had seen it. Tang Mo looked at this strange female stowaway before leaving Nanjing. They found a jeep and headed onto the highway. The car drove for a while, Fu Wensheng sitting in the back seat and staring at the scenery outside the window with curious eyes. He had stayed in Nanjing after the Earth went online and never left. This time, he felt somewhat scared and excited. The car drove for a long time before finally seeing the Black Tower of the next city. Tang Mo looked at the map. That should be the Black Tower of Yangzhou. He paused and turned to the child. Does Ningning always like to watch the Black Tower? Fu Wensheng nodded but then shook his head. Not always. It was since the Christmas Eve instance a few months ago that Ningning often went to look at it. At that time, Sister Xiao Tian didn't pass the game and Sister Ningning often went to observe the Black Tower. She probably felt that Sister Xiao Tian was just taking part of a long tower attack game and would return. In addition, Sister Ningning's feelings towards the Black Tower are very complex since it saved her life. Tang Mo was surprised. Saved her life. Fu Wenduo also looked at Fu Wensheng with interest through the rearview mirror. Fu Wensheng replied, "Yes. Sister Ningning is a stowaway. Stowaways are those who killed someone in the 3 days of selection. Brother is a soldier, so he should have killed someone on a mission. I guessed this as soon as I heard brother's identity. However, Sister Ningning isn't the same. She didn't kill anyone." Tang Mo asked, "Then how can she be a stowaway?" Fu Wensheng explained, "She really didn't kill anyone but technically, she did. In those 3 days. She killed herself. The author has something to say. Tang Tang. Every time we play bridge, I feel like I'm being seduced square root old Fu. Every time we play bridge, I feel like I'm being seduced +1 square root.